ready.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Oh, hello, everybody. And as the three clowns are here.
Yep.
Haha, it's us. It is us. We got here with our big goofy shoes on in our colorful cars. And we got down here to Sport Check at Maple Leaf Square. They opened the store for us. It's Victoria Day, so nobody's actually open. But they are clearing up Maple Leaf Square right now as we speak.
They're tearing it down behind us.
Yeah.
It's a little on the nose.
I think they probably made that call around 9 minutes to go in the second period last night. They got the Penske truck rental ready to go.
Maybe
and said, "Hey guys, we should probably deconstruct this thing. It's over."
Did you notice the balloons in Union Station are already gone?
I haven't been into Union Station. I don't go to Union Station.
They had this crazy balloon display right outside the main gate, right next to the huge poster.
Oh, right at gate one.
Playoffs 2025, and Auston Matthews isn't on it for some weird reason, and all the balloons are gone.
Yeah, so that came down like overnight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
Do you think they popped the balloon one at a time? Just got sent interns in there with a pin and just pop.
No, they had to bite them with their teeth.
I would love to see that. All right, so here's how today's show is gonna go, just so you guys sort of know what to expect.
2 hours of unbridled rage.
No, so we are going to talk about the game. And then after, we're going to talk about the ramifications of the game, and I'm sure both topics will spill over into each other. And because it was the long weekend, there wasn't a whole heck of a lot of news going on elsewhere. There are a couple news and notes we'll slip in at the end. But like, this is about as all Leafs as you're going to get, which I'm sure is what nobody's tuning in for. I'm sure fans of other markets definitely are not tuning in just for this. So we will start with Game 7. Leafs Panthers, Scotiabank Arena. And let me just throw this at you. Maple Leaf Square itself, 3,000 people.
Wow.
Now, behind Maple Leaf Square, there are overflows. And it goes blocks long. So where the Leafs play, if you've never been to Toronto, is just a few blocks away from where the Blue Jays play. Mm-hmm. And basically 3 blocks down, there were fences on the sidewalks, and because they had to keep the roads clear, fences on the sidewalk for people in overflow. There was probably 10,000 people outside last night.
If the Leafs ever made the Cup final, you could set up TVs all the way from Scotiabank Arena to the Rogers Center.
We probably wouldn't. If that ever happened, we probably would have to stay in the building here. Like, there are condos upstairs. We'd have to rent a condo. There'd be no way we could go home.
Oh,
like, how would we get down here?
How would you do it?
How would you get home? I don't think you could.
Ride on the side of the train, I guess. Like, I don't know how you would do it.
Like those crazy TikTok videos from India where they're like literally riding the side of the train.
Just give me so much anxiety. There's the India ones, the Japan ones.
It's crazy. The Japan ones are crazy.
And I'm just like, I don't know. I'll play video games at home.
Yeah. So
I'm too old now. I'm afraid.
Going into this game, and obviously on the pre-show last night, Jesse and I talked about this is the game. Game 6 was the game. Now this was the game where we talk about whether this is the core that got it done, finally broke through. And there's plenty of examples of that. I'm thinking about the early 90s Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm thinking about the late 90s Detroit Red Wings. I'm thinking about the 2017 Washington Capitals, teams that shoulda, coulda, woulda, and finally broke through. And then there were teams that just never did. And people are like, hey, like the Sharks or the Blues. No, those teams won series.
It's so insulting that Thornton and Marleau keep getting brought into this conversation. I don't remember the stats offhand, but Thornton and Marleau, if I'm not mistaken, won 9 playoff series each.
Since
multiple conference final appearances, they went to the Stanley Cup final. What are you talking about?
Since the lockout in 05-06, the Sabres have won more playoff rounds than the Leafs. And the Sabres haven't made the playoffs in 14 years.
Dan Tenser had one. The Oilers have won more playoff series, or as many playoff series in the last 3 weeks as the Leafs have in 20 years.
It's crazy. Now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, this has got to be a real, like, you're coming in and you feel the weight. You must feel the weight of the world if you're a player.
Yes, that is the one part of the narrative today that I'm sure we're going to pick apart limb by limb. That is true. Like, there's undoubtedly pressure that follows this team around. How could you say there isn't?
But beyond all that, you got to get in. You got to be a player. That's what it is.
It's your job.
And the Leafs, it was a question of what Leafs were we going to get? Were we going to get Game 5 Leafs or Game 6 Leafs? We were all hoping for Game 6 Leafs. And Jesse and Steve, after Game 5, were both just like Nostradamus, both of you.
What a waste of 4 days.
You guys said, hang on. You guys said, oh, they'll win Game 6. And then they'll do it heartbreaking fashion in Game 7.
And did they give us a single reason to believe they would win Game 6 after Game 5? No! But we all knew.
So,
easiest thing to predict in the world.
So, we get into this game. And for anybody that didn't watch, the Leafs were outchanced 21-0 to start the game.
Yeah. Yep. And only a third of those chances made it on net, so maybe they're good. No, you know what? It was a horrible start to the game. Other than the penalty at the end of the first period, you could very easily argue they were the better team after it was 21-0.
They had a good mid-first period.
Nylander had a really good chance to score. Lawton had a partial break. Lorentz had a break. And that might have been their last scoring chance. Honestly. Domi scored on, I don't know if, I guess it's a scoring chance. He scored. He scored. He scored. Okay. Last until the third period.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They let in the first goal and died. Like, how else do you... That is the most definitive for years. It's like, yeah, but we could blow it up, but what if you don't need any more proof than this.
No.
They allowed one goal, completely imploded, hugest margin of defeat for a home team in NHL history, tied. Get rid of whatever this is.
Now you are jumping ahead.
I know, but like, sorry, you got to keep me on track today, man. You got to keep me on track today.
So they come out of the first period. And they've killed that penalty.
Good.
And Chris Tanev had to take that penalty. It was a too many men on the ice penalty. If he hadn't touched the puck, there would have been a breakaway for the Panthers. So he did the right thing.
He probably did.
And so you go, okay. They killed the penalty, and Steve went, rah, afterwards. It was guttural. I was like, yeah, all right, let's go.
Because I still believed.
And I thought, like, here's an opportunity for the Leafs to, okay, you had a flat first period, nerves, whatever. Whew, calm down, get into the thing, come back out. And when they get into, because they were showing signs of life.
Huge signs of life. They could have easily won that game. After one, I wouldn't have been shocked. Are you kidding?
No, not at all.
Gone either way.
Not at all. And so then we get into the second period, and 3 minutes and 15 seconds in, Seth Jones takes advantage of one of the worst Morgan Rielly pinches I think I've ever seen. It was just flat out, and I'm not here to tear people to ribbons.
It's bad.
It was a really bad read, and it's a play that, and this is what the Leafs are constantly accused of in this era, or were constantly accused of in this era, because I believe this era is over. They were constantly accused of making the complicated play when the simple one would do. All Morgan had to do was gap up on his guy, let Seth Jones come to you, let the puck come to you, which is something Berube preaches, guys.
Uh-huh.
And he probably goes head-to-head with Seth Jones, and maybe Seth Jones even gets a shot off, but it might get deflected, or it goes to the thing. He doesn't have a wide open look at Joseph Woll. And so
he places that shot.
Oh, it's a great shot.
Really good shot.
But that shot never needed to happen.
No.
Never needed to happen. And it was just because Morgan was like, I'm going to pinch now. Everybody get on board.
It's a terrible
And
choice.
it wasn't like a smart calculate. It's a low percentage play. Yeah. And in games like that kind of stuff kills you. Now, you think, okay, it's 1-0. And everybody in the chat for Steve, if you were watching, was like, okay, a lot of hockey to be played.
There was like 38 minutes left in regulation.
There's a lot of hockey to be played. Very
cow.
few teams, except for the Edmonton Oilers, win 1-0 in a playoff game and an elimination game.
Being down multiple goals is their superpower.
Yeah.
They probably have a winning record when down multiple goals.
Then, about 4 minutes later, it's Anton Lundell. And this line with Luosterainen and Marchand has just been a killer, guys. Absolute murder. Leafs had No answer for it the entire series.
It's so insane that the Panthers have Barkov and Baby Barkov. That's Lindell. Anton Lindell is Baby Barkov. Like, again, his tenure as a Panther, President's Trophy in second round, Cup final, Cup champions, and right now he's in the Final Four again. Like, I'm not saying he's the straw that stirs the drink, but it's nice to have him on board. Can't believe they have Baby Barkov. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Jesse, you saw all this game from above. Like,
yes, I watched the game like 2.5 times now.
You've watched it 2.5 times?
Yeah.
But you were actually there.
I watched it live, and then I watched the clips I make live, and then I watched it all back this morning.
So
I like to grind tape.
You like to grind tape.
Well,
Video coach Jesse.
You showed us a really good clip. I don't know if
I have a million of them. Like, if the first period in particular, you mentioned it, those first 10 minutes, some of the worst hockey I've seen the Leafs play in a 10-minute span until the second period came around. Because I think that second period, Jones scores there, but those first 3 minutes are ugly hockey.
Yeah.
Like, the first 3 minutes leading up to that goal, the Panthers made an adjustment in between the first intermission where they discovered if we attack the Leafs, they're going to crumble. And on that play where Seth Jones hops up in the rush, that's something they were doing for the couple minutes before that and maintaining opportunities where the D's just going to come with everybody. Everybody's going to rush the play, and the Leafs are playing back on their feet and allowing every opportunity that they want. And I don't think the Leafs won a single board battle in that first 10 minutes of that first period. And then they were like, all right, the next 10 minutes, because they had those chances like you talked about. And then in the second, that in the 9 years that they've all been together, what is it now? 9 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
That 1 second period, it was the most disgusting hockey I've ever seen them play.
I cannot believe the team we saw in the second out of the Leafs was the same team we saw for most of the first. Auston Matthews in the first period was a rabid animal.
Yeah, he was good.
He cleaned out everyone. And unfortunately, the Leafs were in their own zone too often when he was on the ice. He was winning draws. Jesse noticed. Well, what was the clip you showed us?
Yeah. That's the one I was bringing up here. So Auston Matthews is they're in the defensive zone. The Leafs are. Auston Matthews wins a clean face-off here. Over to the right side of where he's facing. The Leafs get the puck in the zone. They maintain possession. It's clean. They come around the back of the net and they lose possession to the Panthers. They try, I think is it Marner there? Or no, it's Tanev who has the puck. He tries to pass it over to Nyes and they lose this board battle and the Panthers get a clean shot on goal eventually after they muck up things and they get it back up top. Yeah. And they got a shot on goal. And that happened a million times in that first period and even more in the second period.
And Matthews was a complete animal. And it's the only reason they survived. And I don't know if it went away or if the Panthers just managed to get the puck away from them. They weren't even in that game. You know what? They were in that game for 5 seconds. Exactly 5 seconds in the third period. When Max Domi brings the team within 2, his reaction.
Hey, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
But I believe. I did believe.
Here's another example of just the Leafs crumbling and not being able to break out of their zone. I don't know what happens when they see the neutral zone coming at them, but for some reason they stop playing hockey.
It's scary.
Matthew Nyes has the puck. He gets a clean breakout. He has the puck on his stick, and Matthew Nyes decides to send a pass directly to the Panthers after he gets a little bit of pressure from Barkov. I don't understand the decision making.
Why is this going to the middle of the ice?
so it's Matthew Nyes. There's a puck. Mitch Marner's to his left. He decides Barkov's coming at me. I'm going to send this pass right to Seth Jones. And they lose possession. The Panthers get it, and they remain in the zone.
Look at Benoit. Look at poor Benny. With the craziest panic crossover, he is putting his whole damn body into,
Shit. It looks like you remember that Family Guy bit, fast animals, slow children. Like that's what he looks like. He's running, man.
For anybody who's a fan of hockey, it was disgusting display of hockey on the ice by the Toronto Maple Leafs. They didn't know how to play anymore, and that's what's so disappointing about these losses, because we know they have it in them. We know we've seen them play competent hockey, and in this second period, everything went out the window.
There's a channel I follow that uses footage and gets away with it, and bless them. We're not brave enough to do that, but
we'd never get away with it.
We would never get away with it.
Sportsnet would be all over our shit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. That's a whole other issue, but it's hockey psychology. And they did a breakdown of the Leafs in Game 6. And here's what the Leafs did. Here's what the Panthers were doing. Here's how the Leafs completely neutralized it. And here's how they countered. And they waited and they waited. I cannot believe the same team that essentially performed brain surgery in Game 6 was this team losing at operation. Like, I cannot... It's difficult to wrap your head around. Like, I just did a CBC hit for News World, so it's not like the sports channel. And it's funny doing news hits about sports because they ask you very basic questions. And when they bring it to the most base level, it's actually kind of hard to answer. They're like, how is this team with all the money and all the resources and everything? Like, how is this the same team? Mm-hmm. How do they go from 6-1 to 2-0 to 6-1 again? Both of those 6-1s at home.
Yep.
The one thing, like, I believe the Panthers with, and again, we're going to get into this later, it's 1,000,000% between the ears. It's been between the ears for years. And Brendan Shanahan, like, this is hyperbolic. I mean, he's a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame. He should be unemployable.
I assume we have a Brendan Shanahan.
Oh, we'll get there.
Coming up.
We'll get there. Again, you're jumping around.
I'm jumping around.
You know what? You're teasing the entire episode.
Yeah,
That's okay.
you're just going.
He's like, you know what? This guy. This is where we're going, and I like it.
If you want one more, here's Carlo, unable to break out. Carlo has the puck behind the net. Is like, oh, there's Pontus. I'm going to pass him the puck. And it ends up, he gets the puck to Pontus, and Ekblad just checks him, and the Panthers end up with the puck.
But here, so go back just slightly.
Yeah. We'll get there.
A little bit more, a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
There's Holmberg.
Yep.
He gets the puck.
What is he supposed to do with it?
The Panthers know he's getting the puck.
Yep.
He is surrounded.
Look how they swarmed.
Come out with your hands up. You're surrounded.
They forecheck the hell out of you. They're amazing.
Ekblad has him on the wall. There's a trailer for if he goes back to Carlo. They're going to cut off the pass to the D-man who's over there. You're screwed as this fourth liner / healthy scratch man who randomly finds himself in the top 6 in a Game 7. What's he supposed to do?
And I think this last one here is a perfect example of the attack mentality that they had all night, because a team that is afraid, a team that's never been in these situations before, probably doesn't send 3 guys to the 1 guy with the puck. They're kind of sitting back and they're going the other way and they're playing defense. But the Panthers decided coming out in this second period, if we just attack the puck, these guys don't know what to do. And consistently, clip, you see them just go after the puck carrier, and the Leafs fumble it and they do something incorrect. And I don't think there's a single player who had a good night on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There's maybe a couple. But
I want to say this.
Not a lot.
I think in that particular situation, Jesse, it's the same thing they get taken advantage of every playoffs, which is we take forever to get set up. Well, if you watch, I'm begging Leaf fans to watch the Dallas Stars get set up. I'm begging Leaf fans to watch the Edmonton Oilers get set up. The Stars and the Oilers, what makes those teams so great and so frustrating, and Jets fans, you know this, you get the puck into the Dallas zone and it's it's deep in there. Oh, no, it's already at center.
Dude, most of the Western Conference
fast.
Most of the Western Conference is a different sport. Like, if you watch them,
it's crazy.
Like, it's crazy how much different they play in the West to the East.
So this is part of the thing actually that underrated part of the way Craig Berube wanted them to play. Because Sheldon Keefe was, Keefe came from the Kyle Dubas and Brendan Shanahan school of take your time, get set up, don't give away the puck, maintain possession. That was the key. Don't force plays, which you understand. It's a great theory, but the problem is
they force so many plays.
When you've got, they do it anyway.
They did it anyway.
When you've got a guy bearing down on you and you are used to making decisions slowly and worried about making the poor decision, then you start thinking instead of reacting. What happens is the Florida Panthers are driving in all of these games, especially the ones where the Leafs really didn't show up, Game 5 and Game 7. You have the Leafs bending out of their own position. So now I got a guy bearing down on me, and Steve and Jesse are on my line, and I can't trust that they're going to be where we practiced they would be. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they were, even on a line change, they got a guy deep. Chris Tanev's behind the net with a puck, and there's still a Panther on him.
Tanev, by the way, who absorbed over 100 hits in 13 games. No other player in the NHL has received 60 hits. Like, the Panthers knew their man, and they targeted the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I said this before the series began. Paul Maurice mic'd up, gave the game away, pound their D so that when Game 7 shows up, they have nothing left. And that's exactly what they did. Yeah. They hammered Chris Tanev. They hammered Jake McCabe. They hammered Morgan Riley. And they can say what they're going to do to you into a microphone on camera, kill you on home ice, call it puck luck, stick up for you in the media. Holy shit. What kind of a humiliation kink is this?
Oh man, the idea.
Oh my God.
The idea that your opponent feels bad for you, and like this whole tour they're on this morning, we'll talk about it, about how, I feel bad for them. That's the most pathetic end to this whole thing. That's insane. I can't believe it. Now,
I assume we're going to play all those clips.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it.
The Gadjevic goal, that can get us back into the game if you want. That's the 3-0 goal.
Oh,
that's
God.
Tavares trying to force it past to Willie. Willie's, again, not strong enough on the puck, and I don't think he was strong enough on the puck all night.
Terrible.
Nobody had a good night. I don't know why you want to cape for any of these Leafs.
I literally Max Domi, I thought was nice. That's about it.
Max Domi had the coming into the game tied for the most Game 7 goals amongst active Leafs.
Which is insane.
He was tied with Pacioretty, and now he takes the lead.
Now he has the most.
4 career Game 7 goals. I guess Max Domi had a good game.
I thought that line was actually all right.
He was dialed. Domi was dialed the last couple of games. He was.
Domi has no fear.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't care.
To a fault.
He's reckless
Yes.
because he has no fear. We see him for an entire series take penalties that he shouldn't take as a fourth line player a lot of the time. Sometimes a third line player take penalties that he shouldn't be taking, but then he scores into Game 7 because he has no fear.
Yep.
John Tavares is coming here. The goal visualizer does a nice job on this one. John Tavares is trying to break out. What do the Panthers do? They see him there.
Oh my God.
They get everybody coming at him.
He's slow.
John Tavares can't get out fast enough. He sees Willie up the ice.
Off the boards! Oh my God!
He tries to force a pass to Willie off of the boards.
Yep.
Willie can't get there quick enough because Seth Jones is on him.
And neither can Holmberg.
And Seth Jones is the guy tonight. Who's
speed demon Seth Jones.
Yeah, he's better than every Leaf. Faster than every Leaf.
He's a good skater.
Seth Jones gets the puck, and it turns into a goal.
Sorry, is he a better skater than William Nylander?
No.
Yo,
No.
I won't both of the individual players.
Reason I said that is too many people were analytic thumping when the Panthers went out and got Seth Jones.
That's fair.
Guys, he's playing
He played in Columbus and Chicago. Yeah,
well, he played in Columbus and Chicago, but also he's got Ekblad. He's got Forsling. He's got the entire Panthers system. He's got Barkov. He's got Reinhart. He's not making 9.5 with the Panthers. Spencer Knight that's a hefty price to pay. They have Bobrovsky, and they're probably going to go for a cup this year after winning it last year. They're playing with house money. To go out and get Jones suspiciously right before Ekblad gets a 20-game suspension. I thought I was one of the only people who I was like, you know what? I actually don't think this move's that bad for the Panthers. And here he is. He buries the Leafs for the second time. He buried the Leafs in that Columbus series. He was great. Frig.
So that's 3-0 on the board. They waste
And
the
it's
next.
over.
They waste the next 10 minutes or whatever, and
10?
then because it was like 9:39 when he scored.
Oh.
Yeah.
it was like
Right.
the next-
They
No,
scored-
I keep
they scored
forgetting
all
when
those-
Domi scored. We had
All
home.
three of those goals happened within 7 minutes of each other.
Yeah, and the game was over once they came out of the second. Like when they entered the second period and you saw how they were playing, the game was done. And then this just like it's really over.
So Max Domi does get a goal to start the third, and what I thought was great.
And every fan went, boo!
Yeah.
The boost started
We
at second
don't want
intermission.
them to win. I know. But
Hey, what happened
As-
when Domi scored though? What did they do?
They cheered, yeah.
huge pop. He's like, friggin' yeah! And everyone's like, yeah! And every single person in that building believed, right?
Was Seth Jones's goal that was called back before the Domi goal?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That
And
would've
by
made
the
it
way,
four.
that
It was-
should have been a goal. Every day that's a goal. Every day that's a
I
goal.
don't
That should have
agree.
been a goal.
No, he
I don't
like
agree.
bowled over Joseph Wall, and that's what made the puck
Well,
go
the
in.
Hockey Night and panel said it should have been a goal, so I felt pretty good about
Well,
myself. I was saying to my wife, I'm like, that's a goal.
I
That
don't-
is absolutely a goal.
Anyone who says anything to do with goalie interference or kicking with any conviction is lying.
Yeah, you're right. But I felt like it was a goal.
I don't think he kicked it, but he did I don't want to say kick. Let's say kick. He kicked the puck into Wool's stick and forced that into the net, which you can't do.
You can't score a goal while you're running into the goalie's pads. I feel like that's against the idea of scoring a goal, and that's
Yes.
the whole reason we have goalie interference. I think it was the right call.
And also, he wasn't like, it's not like he was pushed or shoved into
No.
Wool. I personally thought it was the right call.
yeah, goalie interference. And the Leafs wouldn't have won anyways, regardless of if that puck went in or not.
Well, we know
so,
that now.
Yeah. Even then, we kind of knew that.
At the
based
time,
on
I
how
was
they
like,
were
well,
playing.
it could be nice.
Yeah.
So
But
we get the Domi goal,
Domi scores.
and we're like, hey, all right. And you see on the bench
Five-goal.
Lane Lambert and Mark Savard, who are allowed to show emotion, even though Craig Berube hates it when they do. What do they do? Mark Savard was like, yeah, that's one. That's one. He sees it, and you're like, come on, let's go. Because they probably had a conversation between the second and the third intermission and said, hey, boys.
And it was nice and early, too.
It was nice and early. There you go.
That goal goes in, and I genuinely was like, you always got to be open to magic. You have to be open to magic happening. And I was. I think everyone was.
Yeah. I think it was Craig Simpson on the broadcast. He was saying they needed a goal in the first 5 minutes, and they got one in the first 2.
Yeah.
He was getting ready for the comeback call, and he was setting it up, and 47 seconds later.
So at so that goal happened at 17:53. Then at 17:06, A2 Listerainen from Brad Marchand, that
And this
bloody
goal
line.
sucks.
And
You
this
need a
goal,
save.
This goal
so this is a couple of things, right? It's Joseph. So it's a bad defensive positioning, and it's Joseph Woll not covering his post.
No.
He is rarely out of position.
It's a good tip,
completely
but, like,
lost
for the
it.
love of God.
I don't know what he was thinking.
and I thought at that point, I'm like, put Stollers in.
No,
He's dressed. Put him in. You got to. And
I don't think he was ever going to take the net.
they just dressed him for nicey nice.
Wool could have been having an arm hanging off, and I think Stollers wouldn't have played.
So then,
with that goal and the 47 seconds that elapsed in game time, there was an ice scrape that delayed the game after the Domi goal. And I wonder if that ice scrape didn't happen because there was something stuck on the ice, like a black thing, and they had to come out and they had to scrape it, which they shouldn't, like, there shouldn't be a timeout there, you know? And it was actually like, I don't know, 4 minutes of real world time that delayed the game there. I wonder if that ice scrape doesn't happen, if the guys' legs are a little bit more motivated, you know? And I wonder if just kind of, I don't think this is any reason they lost or anything, but the magic part of things, I feel like the hockey gods in that moment were like, you're not even going to get the momentum from this goal. We're going to pause the game here to scrape the ice. You
So
know,
this is
it
the-
felt very Leafsy.
This is the Leafs' death by popcorn.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but there's this weird experimental documentary you can still find online, I think. It's called Death by Popcorn. And it's the original Winnipeg Jets, ironically, kept running into the same damn team in the playoffs. It was the Edmonton Oilers and Wayne Gretzky. And Dale Hawerchuk was going off one year, and the Jets were going off, and they were going to beat them. And the fan throws a bag of popcorn onto the ice.
oh God,
There's a delay, and the Oilers come out of the delay and they score and they win the game, and the Jets never recover. The franchise never recovers, and they go to Arizona and then Utah.
And the franchise has only this season recovered.
Yes.
Because even 25 years in Arizona, they could not recover.
Yeah.
No, it's taken them 30 years to recover from one bag of popcorn.
I feel like it went a little underrated because of everything that goes on with the Leafs, but that little ice scrape.
Interesting,
it could have
Jesse.
affected it could have a butterfly effect on the world.
Hey, you know what would be cool? If you had the mental fortitude to get past it.
No, they don't, though.
And this is the problem.
What was every fan in the building for those 4 minutes? Mad?
When the Leafs were down in the second period, I've seen so much, and we'll get into this a little bit later. I'm not expanding on it now. But I've seen so much about, the Leaf fans are not active participants enough. There was 10,000 people outside last night. There was 18,500 in there. But what the criticism is, when the Leafs get down, the fans go silent, and therefore it's the fans' fault.
Are you or are you not getting into it?
I'm not getting into it.
Okay.
I'll get into it later.
Joseph Wall.
But my point is that the Leaf fans, until that goal, were actively going, go Leafs, go anyway. Yeah. Despite the terrible start in the first.
No, they booed them into the second.
At the end of the second, because they did nothing.
No, but
I'm talking about in that first that first 10 minutes when they let in those 3 goals in the second period, I still heard go Leafs, go chants up until the boos at the end of the second period.
Go Leafs, go chants into the end of the game.
So then Luosterainen scores, popcorn goal. Mm-hmm. And then, the game out from there, that's pretty much it. Like, I went to the bathroom and I came back out. My wife's like, hey, Reinhart scored. And I was like, okay, good. And then to just salt in the wound, Brad Marchand, who is, I believe, second only to Gordie Howe with points against the Leafs in the playoffs in their career, gets the empty netter from Luosterainen. That line was unbelievable and deserved all the flowers.
When Gordie Howe did that, he did it while being Gordie Howe, but also there were only 6 teams.
Yeah.
Like, the odds of Marchand running into the Leafs this often, it's psychotic.
On the Reinhart goal, Chris Tanev, Craig Simpson again on the broadcast talking about assignments. Like, he kind of blew that. He just didn't have the foot speed to keep up with Reinhart, and you want your goalie to help you in that situation. It was an overall mess off of a face-off draw. Everybody didn't know what they were doing. And it was a disaster of a goal.
All night, though, Jesse.
I think we've gone through enough examples to know that that's how they played all night.
You know what I don't understand? I don't understand how the Leafs defense could get the puck in their own zone and have nobody to pass it to. I don't understand how the Panthers would pin them and pin them and pin them, and the Leafs wingers just don't know where to be. Do I need to be down low helping out? Do I need to be up high covering the point? They just seem to not, again, know what to do, where to be, trust in the training that got them there.
No. Well, you know what that is, though.
I don't.
Fan pressure.
Maddie, if you want to bring up the goal visualizer there, this is the Reinhart goal. It comes directly off a face-off draw.
No, Jesse, we can't use the goal visualizer.
Why not?
It's so biased. All it does is it shows what happens on the ice. There's 20,000
fans,
ne'er-do-wells who are trying to make the team that they paid $1,000 to come see lose.
They're trying to make them lose. Yeah. So on the goal here, if you guys want to see this one, there you go.
A bunch of.
Do I want to see it? Are you asking me if I want to see this?
Yes.
Jesse, do you think I want to see this?
Are you
I'm watching.
Are you locked in?
I'm watching it.
All right. So face-off draws 1, and you see Reinhart just go get this puck, and nobody's cover him. Tanev's trying with all his might, but he can't keep up because he loses his assignment. There aren't enough bodies in front to block the puck. Matthews comes in very late to try and help, and Joseph Wall can't make a save. It's bad all around from the Leafs, and this was all their play all night.
So,
I wish the goal visualizer.
Hey, Jess, we didn't get the last goal visualizer. Can you show me the Marchand goal? Because I want to see that. Let's get that.
This is the best one.
This is actually an impressive empty netter, if I'm not going to lie.
And then can you, after you show this one, can you show all of the goals 3 more times?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. They give the puck up. Oh, there's Marchand.
Marchand shoots it from the other end of the ice.
You know why?
And it goes
Hey, you know what's crazy
awesome.
about where here? Actually, I do want to show something off.
Yeah.
Go to. Okay, so there's a board battle here. There's Yarncroke, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Patch ready high. McBain low. There are 4 Leafs down there. 4. And Oliver Ekman-Larsson is just getting on the ice. But where is Brad? He's high covering the defenseman who also had a rough night, Jake McCabe. Brad Marchand is in position to read this play. You know why? Because he's high. Because as a winger, you're supposed to stay high. You're supposed to. If the other winger's deep, you stay high, grab it from their defense. He does it perfectly. This is something that they taught us in House League. And the Leafs don't do that.
And, they didn't do it last night.
Well, you didn't have fans booing you, did you?
You're right.
They had a good couple other games.
So
I would have showed up to Heron Park Arena and booed you if I knew.
I think Steve wants to talk about the fans.
No,
So now
let's keep going.
So now the game's over.
Yeah.
And you see what?
No, the reason I keep bringing that up is I think there's so much depth and nuance to what happened last night and what has happened over the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
And this morning, by people who make 6 and 7 digits, it's being blamed on the fans. You are lame dorks.
We're not getting into it yet.
How the fuck? You stink.
You
stink.
I want to play this clip because I want to get into the post-game stuff, right? I want to hear what people had to say. And to be honest with you, I'm just not interested in, I just sent it to you, Jess, sorry. I'm just not interested in what the Panthers have to say. I understand that we have to talk about it, but I don't care what Paul Maurice has to say. I don't care what Brad has to say. I don't care what Matthew Tkachuk is loving this. He's loving going on Chicklets this morning. He's loving this.
He's digging the knife.
He should. He should.
It's the first time we talked about him all series.
Oh, he was invisible, but he's hurt.
Man, like, a lot of people are going to be like, man, they forced them to 7. The Panthers are broken. There's so many players on their team who are playing sub 75%, and Tkachuk is one of them.
Yeah, but they have other guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Leafs do not.
But, like, I don't think Forsling's 100%. I don't think Barkov's 100%. Like, Matthews ate his lunch. I really think so. Tkachuk is probably sub 50%. Mm-hmm. He couldn't move.
And that's why Bill Zito's like, I'm going to go get Brad Marchand.
Yep. And Seth Jones. And they had other guys, but, like, I'm sorry, you can't beat the Panthers now. You're not beating them.
I don't know if anybody can beat the Panthers.
I could see, I don't know, Carolina might give them trouble. Whoever they play in the West is going to give them trouble. They might win the cup again. It's definitely possible. They're in the Final Four.
Auston Matthews.
But no, sorry. Mm-hmm. As busted up as the Panthers were, don't tell me it was close because it was 7. They lost by 5 goals. It came down to one game. It's a 1-game series. You lost by 5 goals. You weren't close. Matthews, and the worst quote of his career.
No, I mean, first period I thought they came out a little bit hungrier than us. I thought we, last half of that period we got our game going, and then I don't know how it really got away from us. I think just not on the same page in different areas of the game.
Pause there. Not on the same page. That's a precursor. That's not. You know what I respect about this press conference from Auston is he finally doesn't give a shit. And this isn't even that crazy. But he finally is saying what we've all been seeing. And he's the one guy, besides Berube, the one guy who is being honest. I don't think this is the worst press conference of his career. I think it's one of his best. And I respect what he said because he said it honestly, which is something we cannot ever get from this team.
I appreciate to a degree what he said there. There's a quote coming up where I'm just like, Auston.
Go ahead and press play.
Not really.
Are you tired of doing this?
Does that phone look familiar? That's my phone.
Oh,
there.
is that Jesse Blake?
Yeah,
you should have just Jesse Blake.
Maddie, pull
SDPN.
up my phone.
Was that you who asked,
There.
are you tired of doing this?
There you go. That's my phone there.
You didn't ask that question, did you?
No.
You tired of doing this?
No, that was Ken Campbell.
Oh, Kenny. Jesus.
Oh,
Ken does not care.
Ken. That is such a Ken question.
No, Ken walks into the scrum and is like, all right, guys, I got this.
Ken is the king of, and I say this as a compliment. If Ken sees this, he's not going to be mad at me for saying that. I don't think. He's like, I'm going to pull the pin on the grenade, throw it, and walk away. Here we go.
Ken is 5'5" of fuckless attitude.
5'5"? What are you doing? Spotting him 3 inches?
Yeah. He walks in. His name should be Fuckless Campbell. Change his name legally. He just walks in. You're so right. Like he's literally just throwing a Molotov cocktail into the like. No wonder Matthews said what he said. Now I have the full context. Ken Campbell caused him to say that.
Ken makes a point in the press box to sit down for the American national anthem and make sure everybody can see him sitting down.
Because he's pissed.
He's like,
really?
Penny doesn't give a shit, man. I'm telling you.
Everybody's going to see me sit for the American anthem. He's great ball energy.
I've heard several times, like before he sends a tweet, he just like nudges someone next to him. He goes, "Hey, watch this." Like,
he loves your angry tweets.
He threw this grenade in there.
Hilarious.
That's what we got from Auston.
Page in different areas of the game.
Can you describe the disappointment you must be feeling?
Not really.
Are you tired of doing this?
Yeah. I think we all are. I mean, I think there's 31 teams that go home very disappointed, and obviously we're one of them, so it's not a great feeling.
You can understand the frustration of the fans, though. There's some throwing jerseys on the ice.
Greg Ross.
There's a lot of booing in this game again tonight. I mean, what's your message to the fans who have had to deal with this year after year after year with this team?
Yeah, it's tough to kind of gather, thoughts on all that so quickly after the game. I mean, I think, you look, back on training camp, just all the work that you put in to get yourself to this point, and it's very, very frustrating, obviously, for us as well as them included. So, it's tough to kind of gather your thoughts on all that right away.
What was your sense of the group to come into this one, Auston?
I felt like we were ready to play. Felt like we were, in a good mindset. Like I said, I thought the first, 10 minutes we didn't, they came out strong, and the next 10 minutes I thought we controlled play. And then I just thought we had
Totally agree.
Too many passengers throughout the rest of the game and just weren't on the same page. And they get a couple goals and momentum like that, and then you're chasing the game, and it's hard to get it back. When you're down 3 against a good team that plays sound defensively like them.
Okay, let's leave it there. So the quote is the passengers quote. The quote is there's too many passengers, and people were using this, especially out of town media. They love this. And I don't disagree. Hang on. I don't blame them. I'm sure this is the most satisfying thing.
It's spank material.
Yes.
And they're doing it publicly.
What I love about what Matthews said there was that it was honest. There were too many passengers. And people were like, well, he had 2 shots last night. He was a passenger. And you know what? Like, you could argue the whole damn team was. Listen, Matthews is not going to escape criticism. We'll get to singular efforts.
You get passengers when 4 guys take up half the cap.
Well, exactly. And so I think...
We've been saying this for years.
So I think that when we look at that quote, what I respect about it is he said what everyone is thinking. If you're going to be upset with him for performance, I get it. But at least, finally, along with Berube, and we'll get to that, finally, somebody didn't look the camera dead in the face and said, actually, Cody Cece's numbers were great. I can't stand that with this organization, where it is... we're going to deny you what you saw with your eyes. We're going to deny you what you see on paper in terms of stats. Actually, you're dumb and we're smart. Auston said there's too many passengers. He's the captain. He is going to be, at the end of next season, barring some injury, he's going to be the leading scorer in Leafs history all time. Mm-hmm. I love that he was honest. I love that he said that. I can't stand that people are mad at him for a quote like this. If you're out of town media and you're jerking off to this, fine. But from inside, as a Leaf fan, which I am,
yeah,
I want some honesty. That's what's been making me feel so crazy over the last 9 years.
What are you?
I'm a Leaf fan.
Oh, bad guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Automatically.
So let's get...
You're the reason they lost.
In fact, Jesse, I am.
Bad
And
guy. You're also worse than other fans.
Yes,
on principle.
Because nobody has a bigger fan group than only the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now let's talk about Craig Berube.
No, here, wait. I want to stick on the Matthews thing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
So I think back to a really annoying Instagram post from Zdeno Chara, and it's only annoying because it's Zdeno Chara. It's actually
and he's so
good.
great.
He's so great. and he rides his bike looking like
He's still doing marathons.
freaking
Unbelievable.
He's annoying. So he posts this on Instagram, and it's just him pointing at the camera. And it's basically when you point a finger at someone, you're pointing 3 back at yourself. And I always put my hand like this and go, Zdeno, that's not true. But when he points like this,
That's what my mother used to say to me.
hey,
Yeah.
yeah. And what do you think about that style of leadership versus what Matthews did? Because, okay, there's too many passengers. Is he talking about, who's he talking about? He's obviously talking about someone.
I think what people were missing from that quote was him doing what Chris Tanev did, saying, I take responsibility for that, to my part in that. And I don't expect, after a devastating game, and those guys coming out, Tavares looked heartbroken.
Oh, yeah.
I think those guys were devastated. And so for him to speak absolutely 100% perfect at a press conference, I'm giving him a pass on that. I do think he meant himself in that too. And I don't think you listen to the tone, right? If you read that quote, you're like, hey, F that guy. What the hell?
The tone is much better than
you listen to that tone, you know what he means.
Yes.
Right? It's inferred. And
I honestly think like a lot of the reaction to that is just people getting their yucks in.
Oh, 100%.
I think it was just people. He says there's a lot of passengers. Everybody wants to get their yuck in. Yeah, including yourself. It's the same thing with the Mitch Marner yelling at the bench part, where in the middle of the second, where you see him yelling on the broadcast, "Wake the fuck up!" I think it was. And everybody wants to get in their jokes about, "Hey, did you yell that to the mirror?" Like whenever Leafs things happens, you're gonna get that reaction.
Yes, agreed. And I totally understand that. But from within Maple Leafs fandom, and I'm speaking directly to you, that's what we need. We need somebody honest. And is he going to be perfectly spoken every time he steps in front of a mic? No. But I love that. Now, are you guys good on that, or can we move to Berube?
Yeah.
Because I think Berube also nails it, and I'm grateful for that, because Sheldon Keefe was not allowed to nail it. Mm-hmm. Sheldon Keefe was not allowed to step up and say what he really thinks. And I think part of that's good, because Sheldon was so emotional that if you heard what Sheldon really thought on a game-to-game basis, I think the team would implode within, a couple of weeks.
Sheldon was too angry.
Yes.
Yes.
Craig was as pissed as I've ever seen him on the bench after that third goal went in the second period. It was like, holy fuck, guys, get it together.
Yeah.
And here he is after the game. And I think it speaks to where we're going to go with the show next.
The past playoff series with this team, but you were aware of them, obviously, when you took this job. How much of that baggage with the guys that have been here a while play a part in a moment like tonight, where it looks like the moment's too big for them?
Well, I look at, I don't think the moment's too big for him. I think it's, we went to Ottawa and won Game 6 and won a series. We went into Florida and won Game 6 to make it a Game 7. So the moment's not too big. For me, it's all between the ears. It's a mindset. These guys are capable of doing it. You just got to execute it, and we didn't execute it. We didn't execute it in Game 5. We didn't execute it in Game 7. I don't have an answer for that. Why? But that's the bottom line. Thanks.
Oh, wow.
That's
a very, don't ask me no more bullshit, get up.
No, it was the last question.
Yeah. But he got up pretty quick.
Berube,
it made it seem funnier.
Yeah. It was Pierre LeBrun. He had the last question. They're like, last question.
That was Pierre?
Yeah, he has a great question. Yeah.
Berube nailed it. It is a mindset. And what's been amazing over the last 9 years is we've been fed that it isn't. We've been told that it isn't. And I think Chris Johnston, you guys heard of him?
No.
New show out today, I've heard.
He's so good. Yeah, they recorded this morning.
New show out today.
Oh, I can't wait.
Chris Johnston said, I don't think that those guys in that room could sit there and believe that the other guys in that room along with themselves could get it done. I'm paraphrasing, but that's sort of what he said in the TSN sort of Sports Center hit for this morning. And I just, as a Leaf fan, again, finally, somebody says it. Finally, we're getting there.
It triggers something in me. And it's difficult to remember because it was right before COVID, but the Lightning, the 2019 Tampa Bay Lightning, I remember we did a segment, and you guys were a little iffy on this take, and you guys were correct. In 2018, the Lightning have a 3-2 lead over the Capitals in the Eastern Conference Final. The last goal they scored in that series was in Game 5. Holtby shuts them out in Game 6 and 7. Tough way to lose the series. What happens the next year? They take it out on the whole rest of the league. They win 62 out of 80 games. They win the President's Trophy, set a record, swept.
Mm-hmm.
Not just swept. They were up 3-0 in Game 1 of that series. Blew it and blew the rest of the series. Kucherov takes his ball and goes home.
Cries about, or he was not cries about, was angry about like certain contracts and players not showing up, and he was talking to the Russian media.
I believe he was talking about Alex Killorn. And I remember the take being, if you're a member of the Tampa Bay Lightning, because they were talking about the potential moves they might make. I was like, if you're in that locker room, how do you look to your left? How do you look to your right? How do you look across from you? And think, yes, this is the group that we get it done with. And what happens? The world stops and they don't. They win a cup in 2020. They win a cup in 2021. They won 2 cups in like 10 months. And they went to a 3rd Stanley Cup final in a row in 2022. They had those traumatic losses. Dude, Keenan Thompson got on stage and goofed on the Lightning for like an hour at the NHL Awards to their face. That's how humiliating they were. They were the punchline. How did they respond? Not like meek little lambs, that's for sure.
They responded quicker.
They won the damn cup. They went to 3 straight finals. The Leafs are not the only team that bad things happen to. They just never rise to the occasion when it matters most.
And but what I think too is that they never make anything uncomfortable for people. What Matthews said was uncomfortable.
Mm.
What Berube said
is
if you're a manager, imagine you're Keith Pelley this morning. Keith Pelley being the head of Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment.
Oh no, I'm gonna have a job no matter what.
If my head coach, if my captain is saying too many passengers and my head coach is saying it's a mindset, because the one thing Berube did say in that press conference, and I think this is 100% true, and Leaf fans might not like to hear this. These guys do care. Mm-hmm. This wasn't a lack of care. Mm-hmm. This is a lack of execution, and it's a mental block.
Yep.
And that's what it comes down to in these games. When I look at how this press conference, those 2 guys played out, I look at this as a bit of a page turned. The chapter is over. They all know it. And that is going to be the thing that they're going to have to change.
You know what this reminds me of is it was either after the 2003 or 2002 loss in the playoffs. Do you remember there was a big story about all the Leafs after getting eliminated?
Not going to a team dinner?
They got into like little cliques and all went out to different places. And that was a big story and all the locker rooms fractured and all that. This kind of reminds me of that because that was a this iteration of the team is probably over moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this iteration of the team is clearly over.
Hey, let's talk about some other hockey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the 2 series that we're doing. And by the way, I should mention for our watch-alongs, Steve will be doing the Edmonton Oilers Dallas Star series. I'll be doing the Florida Panthers Carolina Hurricanes series. So we'll start with Edmonton and Dallas because that series firmed up first. That is unstoppable force, immovable object, all offense. What a crazy... I don't even know what to make of this series. I wouldn't know how they even come up with who's favored in what way. So, Jesse, what are the lines even saying?
The Oilers are favored over the Stars. Favorite.
Wow.
The Oilers beat them last year.
Yes. I think I agree with that.
You do?
Yeah. My assessment is the Oilers beat them last year, so of course you give them the advantage. Drew, who is an Avalanche fan and brings his baggage to this conversation, thinks I'm wrong on account of the Stars are... We said the Kings were different. I mean, the Stars are very different. They have a completely different looking decor. In my opinion, not necessarily better, but it's better looking. Harley's a year better. You got Granlund in there, and Wyatt Johnson's a year older, and you got Mikko frigging Rantanen Like, that is a fairly huge piece. He's leading the playoffs in scoring. They went out and acquired the current playoff leader in scoring. That's what makes this series different than last year. And that one went the distance.
I'm never going to take a team that has Cody Ceci playing in their top 4. So go Oilers.
All right. He's been to a conference final before.
Hey, he went to the Stanley Cup final last year in the top 4.
Oh, damn, you're right.
With the Oilers.
Yeah. And I didn't pick the Oilers.
There you go. He was also scratched for Broberg most of the finals.
He was.
So let's talk about the other one, Canes and Panthers. I don't know what to make of this, except for the fact that the Panthers are unquestionably a little beat up, and the Canes aren't.
That to me is what this series is about. Like, I think the Panthers are clearly the better team. And that's nothing against the Hurricanes. It's just, again, it's another rematch. And last time they played in the playoff series, Panthers kicked their ass. Despite what Rod Brindamore said, it was a really close sweep. Oh, Rod, maybe vet that with PR first, eh? The difference is the Panthers, how banged up are they, is the question.
Jesse, we talked about this in the pre-show yesterday, but Frederik Andersen allowed 6 goals in 5 games in the second round. 6 goals on 95 shots, 937 save percentage. How much of a factor is Freddie in this series in the year 2025?
Yeah, it's a matter of are we going to get healthy Freddie Andersen? Is an injury going to pop
up? Not after Sam Bennett's done with him.
Are you implying something about Stallers and Sam Bennett?
I'm detecting a first or second period oopsie in game 1.
No, Freddie healthy has always been good, and he's been healthy so far. And I'm not wishing an injury on him or anything. I'm just questioning. He's never gone this deep in the playoffs. It's going to be exciting to see if he can maintain this health streak and keep playing well.
Damn, Jesse. That's crazy. Can't wait for number 9 to spear him in the neck.
Well, we'll see what happens.
The Panthers are favored, by the way.
Are they favored?
Yeah, in the series over the Hurricanes.
There's going to be what I am fascinated by that Luostarinen, Lindell, Marchand line. I am curious to see what the Carolina Hurricanes do with that. Can you team defense both the Barkov line and the Luostarinen? I'm going to call it the Luostarinen line. I know he's the biggest name on that line. Can you do that? Can you manage that? Because the Bennett-Tkachuk line, I mean, Tkachuk is 50% of what he normally is.
Yes.
I think you can shut that line down. Bennett couldn't win a face-off. But the lines 1 and lines 3, damn, dude, that's scary.
They're so good. They're so damn good. They'll go as far as the Lundell line can take them, which is not something you would expect to say about the Panthers.
Absolutely. So we'll be checking in with that throughout the series. BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Actually, it's BetMGM.com/Dangle. Also, John Tavares spoke to the media. He said emphatically he wants to be a Leaf next year, like immediately.
Yep.
He said he wants more shots at it. He had a great season. Morgan Riley obviously was very thoughtful after the game. He's always, I think, his quotes aren't great in media circles, but I thought he was very thoughtful.
He has an unfortunate amount of practice.
Yeah, he sure does.
And that's interesting you brought up the practice thing, because I thought he had a really good quote, because Steve Simmons asked him, and he's like, do you hate coming here every season and doing this dance again and giving us these quotes? And Morgan's like, I don't care about coming here and doing this. It was very honest of him. He's like, this isn't anything that bothers me, and I'm sorry. He said, I'm sorry if I repeat myself or if I say the same things over and over again, but I don't care about this. What I care about is the fact that we lose every season.
No. That's not what the Panthers said. That's not what Tkachuk and Maurice and Marchand weirdly said a lot, often into a mic.
Yeah.
So who are you going to trust? The guys who just beat them 6-1 and said actually they weren't very bad, or Morgan Riley?
I thought it was really honest of him, and I thought he was honest during his whole press conference, just saying like the losing and being on the ice and not advancing and all of that is really hard on him. And who cares that he has to come and do a scrum after these games? He just hates losing.
Here, sorry I missed your call. Just recording a podcast. It's the Leafs got eliminated last night when Michael Bublé calls you and you miss it.
Oh, I didn't know what you were doing.
Friggin'. My phone is star-studded once a year.
There you go.
Once a year.
Let's. I have one. This is Paul Maurice talking about chastising the media for how we're going to speak about the Leafs after losing 6-1.
Listen to me on this, but I would caution you from applying or assigning you guys are going to do it anyway. Those games are so tight. The emotion, the build up to the games, right? Like when we score the first goal, we own the first 10 minutes of the first period. They own the second 10 minutes. That's it. Both teams were.
We all agree.
If you flip it, you'd say, oh, they came out right. We came out right. They found the answer to come back at us.
Okay, then
That's the truth, right? We scored a goal, and then we got those two, and it's just a puck to the net. It's not so much closer than you think, but you're going to kill these guys, and they don't deserve it. That's 7 games, and we played well. I didn't like our first period in game 1. We played well in the 2 losses. None of you are going to listen to me.
So, like, Paul, you beat them. I hate this bashful aw shucks bullshit. I don't want to call it bad faith. Like, I don't think he's a liar. The 2 games you're talking about, like, he said this like 3-4 days ago, right? So it falls flat. No, they played great. When you beat them 6-1 at home in game 5, and game 7 comes around, the same thing happens, and you're like, oh, you guys are going to kill them, and it's unfair. Shut up.
We punched Anthony Stollers in the head. It was by accident. He's our friend. We beat them. We outscored them 12-2 on home ice in games 5 and 7. You know what? It was a lot closer than you think.
I didn't like our first period in game 1. All right, we get it. You're smart.
This is
holy shit,
This
Paul.
is the patronizing part that I can't stand.
What do you get? What do you get? A second ring for being the best on the mic too? Go and win a cup. Jesus.
The patronizing part is that Paul Maurice stepped up in front of that microphone and said, sorry, but you guys are dumb and we're smart.
Yep.
And I hate to throw that, because Paul Maurice is an extraordinarily smart guy. That's why he said it. I know he doesn't believe it. I know he's full of shit.
He also has no idea what he's talking about. Like, I know he was the Leafs coach. You don't know what pressure is. Like, the pressure here, he has no idea. The teams you coached here, Paul, were not close to being close. Your goalie sucked.
Yeah.
If you had some goaltending, you would have. And by the way, you didn't have any problem killing them. I remember him coming on Sportsnet and being like, we had no shot with those guys in net. You didn't have any problem killing them then because it served you. It made you look good, Paul. And this makes you look good. Oh, good guy, Paul, getting in front of the media and talking about the team that got outscored 12-2 on home ice, and they're good, and you guys are bullies. Fuck off. You're such a liar. Ugh.
I do find
nauseating.
I do think it's interesting that Thomas Drance tweeted this morning. He was talking about the Tkachuk appearance on Spit and Chicklets, but he did tweet this morning. He's like, these are not media comments about the actual game. These are recruitment videos.
Yeah, they don't want Sam Bennett to leave.
They don't want Sam Bennett to leave. They might want to get Mitch Marner.
Yeah, why not? Go out and get him.
So,
give it a shot.
And Matthew Tkachuk said today,
you know what I love is when a multimillionaire on a chaise longue made out of bent poor people who pays 0 state income tax is like, you know what? We're just chill here, and you guys aren't, and that's why you.
I wish you guys wouldn't care so much.
Yeah, I wish you wouldn't care so much. Is that's why you do all the documentaries there, Matthew? And that's why you do all the magazine covers and everything?
I haven't even read
That's
the
why
quote
you
yet.
do the Chicklets interview, is because you want less attention? You're Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. You know that, right? That we want privacy. We want privacy. No, you don't. What? No other league operates this way. And listen, when the players tell you Toronto hard, place where people don't care easy, they mean it, and I think they're right. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand, this is the only professional sports league this applies to. Mm-hmm. It is anti-professional sports, and if you genuinely believe this, I don't believe you're pro sport, I think you're pro hockey. This doesn't apply to the NBA. It doesn't apply to the NFL. It doesn't apply to the MLB. It doesn't apply to European, South American, friggin' anywhere soccer other than the MLS, maybe. And Who wins? Who wins? Like, who has routinely done well? Like the Galaxy. And like Messi he'll play and come off the field and fans leave. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, fandom and fanfare is what sponsors and pays for everything. When you're not begging for taxpayer dollars for a new arena. Taxpayer dollars, by the way, that you've paid $0 towards because it doesn't come out of your paycheck in Florida. Right? I don't know how the hell they pay for anything. Right? Attention and fandom is why they lost. It makes me sick.
So let me can I give the Matthew Tkachuk quotes though? Because you
not really. I don't give a fuck.
But we still have to.
Go for it. What does this rat have to say after having no impact on a 7-game series?
He said, if you're going to play tentative, this is what he said last night, you probably don't belong in these games. And that is a shot at all the Toronto Maple Leafs because they played tentative, and he's right. And then
he played tentative all series. He doesn't want to get hit.
And then this morning, he said if their team was not in Toronto dealing with all this crazy circus stuff outside of it, they'd be an unbelievable team.
Why'd you lose in the Four Nation face-off? Lights too bright or what?
So he said both things.
Yeah?
And I think what's happening here, and you saw Marchand, like he was saying that, he grew up a Leaf fan and that, he told, Bissonnette on the TNT broadcast, well, I just believed. Yeah, this is a troll job.
I already knew Marchand was a Leaf fan because he mentioned that the last time he beat them. Fuck!
I think this is where I get frustrated because people are going to fall for this. People fall for worse things. It's all right. And I look at here's a devastating stat. Are you ready for a devastating stat?
Hit me.
Hold on. Leafs outscored 12-2 at home in the final 3 games. Mm-hmm. In what other market, league, whatever, with fans who care, is that going to be okay? Brad Marchand, career game 7 points versus the Leafs. 5. Matthews and Marner, career combined game 7 points with the Leafs. 5. That's from Sportsnet stats.
The Leafs move heaven and earth to keep them together.
Matthews had a goal in this series. Marner had a goal in this series. Marner had 2 shots in the final 5 games. Tavares had no points outside of the 1 game he had 2 goals. 0 points. 0 points.
Do you got Willie in there?
Do you want to do Willie?
No, I got him. Don't worry, Adam. I prepared it on my phone on the train on the way in here. Because Matthews and Marner and Tavares, like, losing their production hurt. Losing Willie's production is what killed them.
That's devastating.
It's devastating because, like, he got them through the Ottawa series. Like, I'm looking at game 1, goal and an assist. Game 2, assist. Game 3, assist. Game 4, 2 assists. Game 5, no points, -3. No one looked good that night. And then in the deciding game, 2 goals, 1 assist +1.
Crazy.
Legitimately unreal over the course of the series against Ottawa. Game 1 against Florida, 2 goals, 1 assist, they win. 1 goal, they win. 2 assists, but they lose game 3, a game where they had a 2-0 lead and a 3-1 lead. That is the one that got away. And that was the last point he had. No points -1, no points -1, no points -1. Losing William Nylander's production was the beginning, middle, and end of this series.
And what will slam the door shut on this chapter is other teams who just beat the Leafs making excuses for the Leafs.
It's like, aren't you humiliated?
Isn't that?
It's quite embarrassing.
I don't want. Sorry, excuse me. Is David going out and saying, Goliath, he was quite the guy after I killed him?
Man.
Like, are you kidding me here? I look at people like, well, the better team won. Well, aren't you the smartest person on fucking planet Earth? Oh, the better team won. No shit. But it's also fair to say these other things. Mm-hmm. Toronto's top 4 guys, expected goals 5-on-5, were in at about 50%, all of them.
Sure.
Throughout the entire series.
Which isn't good enough, by the way. Like
Exactly, it's not good enough.
It's even. They're not losing the minute. Okay, but
they're
now
not
you're
winning them.
Now you're leaving it up to Lawton, Lorentz, Yarncroke,
Who, by the way, got caved 5-on-5 expected goals.
and also probably had their two best chances. And you're leaving it up to Max. I need to be sheltered, Domi.
And Pacioretty.
Bobby, I haven't scored in these playoffs, McMahon. And elderly Max Pacioretty, who has, like so many years past, there's performances where you go, damn, you got that performance out of this guy and you lost. You got nearly a point a game at a Max Pacioretty, you lost, just like you did with Kerfoot in 2021. Spezza at 49 years old had 3 goals against the Habs. 3.
Yep.
Holy shit.
People forget, don't they?
Oh my God. Ah!
Max Pacioretty had 13 points this regular season in 37 games. He had 8 in 11 in the postseason.
Legitimately hilarious.
And I want to say this because, again,
his Leaf picture on MapleLeafs.com is still him with the Capitals. Like,
I want to say this.
Oh my God.
I want to say this again.
Say it again.
When it comes to people go, well, they didn't. The Leafs they marginally won their minutes with the top 4 guys. The top 4 guys take up over 50% of the cap. How many times do we need to say that?
Nathan McKinnon marginally won his minutes. Like, stop.
I am looking to these players to not just marginally win their minutes. And by the way, I give Tavares a bit of an excuse. He's in the last year of a 7-year deal. Guy's 34.
The contract year.
Yeah, but it's still your second line center.
Still your second line center.
He wasn't good enough.
Now, let's go through this because there are certain, we talked about the game, talked about the post-game comments. We need to talk about the specifics now.
By the way,
can I just weigh in on Brad Marchand for a little
please.
bit?
Tavares, by the way, no points in his final 4 games as well. That whole line was neutralized. Oh, you did? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. His little bit post game where he's talking about the fans and how hard it is and the pressure and blaming them. It truly felt in the moment there in the room a little surreal. Because you never hear somebody that honest, and Brad Marchand, like he is a master at these post games, and he talked about how in his career he didn't realize the moments that he wanted to savor, and it was great insight because he talked about that and how he's getting close to retirement and how this Game 7 here in the second round wasn't pressure to him. Because he's been in actual Game 7s that have actually mattered. He's played in the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final that he lost. And he was
like a rookie when that happened.
Well, the Blues won. The Blues won when he lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final.
And he had like kind of a big part in it.
And he's like, I'm getting to the end of this thing, and this career flew by so quickly. And I sit here and I played my heart out in this game because I know that like there's better games to win here.
Dude, he got better when the series began. I was like, oh man, Brad got old. And holy shit, like, nope, he hasn't lost a step. He hasn't lost a single thing.
They won their 7th game of the playoffs. That's only halfway to a Stanley Cup.
The Leafs? It's less.
No, the Florida Panthers.
Oh,
sorry, I said 7th because Game 7. They won their 8th game of the playoffs.
And they're halfway there.
That's halfway to Stanley Cup. That's 50%. Yes. Like the job is only half done. And Brad Marchand had that perspective in that moment. Yeah. And he used that perspective to troll Leafs fans. And whether it's trolling, it's
trolling, and he's good at it, and we got to give him that. He's great at it.
You can call it trolling, or you can call it just hockey players siding with hockey players.
The smirk he gave that fan on his way off the ice after Game 5, he knows what he's doing. Come on. And he's relishing it, and I'm not calling him a bad guy for doing it. Yeah. I'm just calling it for what it is.
And he talked about that moment, and he said, I love those moments. I love interacting with the fans because I can take it, and I like to dish it out. And if you can't take it and you can't dish it out, then you can't have that back and forth. So he knows how to take the heat. He knows how to deliver it out. And he used all of his knowledge to spin the narrative.
That's weird. His teammate thinks that's like what makes you lose. So I don't know. They should have like a little talk about that.
The Matthew Tkachuk?
Yeah.
I think he knows what to say too.
It's very strange.
Jesse, I think that's brilliant insight.
No, but like he used that to spin it to a narrative to support the guys at the other end of the ice. Like he in this moment and all of the stuff he's been saying, he's just supporting other hockey players that he had to defeat. Fortunately for him, he got to go up against the Leafs because they don't have it and he got to beat them. But like he didn't want to dump on the Leafs in that moment. And the easiest narrative for him with all of his knowledge about the game and the media and the fans was to spin it onto the fans. So don't believe Brad Marchand, please. Like he's not operating in your best interests or in defense of the Leafs. He's in defense of his hockey brethren, and he's using that to, spin it a narrative that looks good for the Panthers.
Man. Well, and it's genuinely in his best interest to keep the Leafs looking like this.
So he can go out and defeat them. Yeah.
Yes.
He's the first ever player to have 5 Game 7 victories against a single franchise. Did we mention that one stat?
Of course.
And he ties the all-time lead for Game 7 victories. There's 6 guys who have won 8 Game 7s, and now Brad Marchand becomes the 7th player ever to win 7 Game 7s. That's pretty cool.
It's all against the Leafs.
8 Game 7s.
That's spamming.
I also believe the Leafs are...
Brad Marchand's a Leafs merchant.
Yeah, it's a bit of an easy code on him. Like infinite money.
Oh my God.
It's like you're playing The Sims and you play infinite money.
Did you want to play the Brad Marchand clip? I had it
No.
here. No, okay.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not
No,
fucking interested. No, I'm not fucking interested.
What about
I
the
wanna
people,
move on
what
to
about
things-
the people who haven't heard it?
Go for it. No, I said play it.
For the sake of news on our program.
Let me have a conversation.
When you
with
win
my
a
friend
cup
quick.
and you play in some of the games that this team played in last year, like these are not high pressure games.
That's what I was referencing.
When you're playing for an actual cup and you give up a 3-game lead and then you're in game 7, like that's a high pressure game, right? So, in game 7, second round, yeah, it's a high pressure game, but it's not compared to some other games that guys have played. So when you actually look at that, and then when you see the pressure that Toronto faces and everyone's talking about whatever the 20, 30-year buildup. I don't even know what it is, but you see the fans and the way they're talking, like they just beat the pressure into this team. And it's got to be tough on those guys to walk to the rink every day and not feel that because you see the way the fans treat them at the end. Like, how do you not feel that every single day? And when you go through big games, like you realize which are actually big games and which are just, big moments.
Yeah, and we can move on because we did like a 10-minute preamble before that. I just wanted to actually get the clip.
He said it right off the top there. These are not high pressure games.
Yeah.
He just fucking said it to you.
No, but then...
So everything they say afterwards, nothing... Maurice, Kachuk, all of it, it's bullshit.
No. What he's saying is these aren't high pressure games and the fans make it high pressure games, which is wildly unfair.
Then you know what?
They pay your salary.
Then leave.
So I think that's a perfect segue into Marner's contract's up.
Yeah, Shanny's contract's up. Marner's contract's
Shanny
up.
can leave.
Tavares' contract up. So let's go for the ramifications of the game for each player. We'll start with the least interesting, which is William Nylander. He'll be back next year. He signed a long-term deal. He loves it in Toronto. He was amazing efforts in the first round, some good stuff in the second round. He was horrific in game 5 and horrific again in game 7.
Completely invisible. He
Terrible.
just wasn't a factor.
And also, not a factor and not, I know when William Nylander's dialed and I know when he's not. I've watched a lot of William Nylander hockey. So have you guys. So has everybody listening. We know what he looks like when he's going to take a game over, and we know what he looks like when he just doesn't have it. And I don't know if it's, I think some people have unfairly, coaches specifically, have unfairly labeled it as he doesn't give a shit. I think the point is he does give a shit, but I think sometimes he just doesn't have it.
You said it earlier. They all care.
They all care.
Berube said it, and you're referencing it. Like, they all care. So that's where I think the Berube quote comes into play here is, I don't understand what they lose when they care, but their body can't then just do the thing that they've already done and shown. Whatever that mental gap they have. I don't know if the Leafs this offseason need to take every dollar they made through these playoff games that they had and just invest in sports psychologists for the entire room.
I think so.
Because it's 100% a mindset.
White noise machines. I don't know. Like, you've made enough money. Like, you could probably, like, look at the schedule when it comes out in July. Set aside the important games. Don't let fans in.
Okay.
Don't let them in.
I think...
No, it's your Cross to bear, it's your burden, and you have the power. Just say no to the money. Just say no.
Willie in game 7 and like I don't think he had a really good game 6 either, even though like they handled things. I think
You didn't
he had,
have a good games 4 through 7.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but like I don't think it's because he doesn't care about performing and winning these games. I don't know where it comes from with any of the players where they all obviously care a lot, but they can't execute on what they know.
Auston Matthews, second most boring. He'll be back next year, unless he requested a trade or something like that, and the Leafs could still say no. Those two guys seem to be the guys that the Leafs are going to build around going forward. The other two guys...
On Auston Matthews, I think there's a conversation to be had at some point in this tenure as a Toronto Maple Leaf that is still premature to give him the captaincy.
I would love to know who he was talking about when he talks about passengers, because my first thought was Willie.
Interesting.
I'd love to know who he was talking about.
Well, I think most of the team. The stats bear out most of the team.
Yeah. That's going to get clipped by those really shitty aggregator sites. Like I'm saying, it's Matthews talking about Willie. I don't know who the player is, but my first thought.
I think it's most of the team, and I'm sure he means himself too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. We could go back to play the clip again. I think he inferred basically everybody.
I would have liked him to win in one of these games before getting that C from Tavares.
Okay.
Or
I would have liked Tavares to win in one of these games before getting the C.
I would have liked them to not have a captain. Like they don't execute in the moments when you need players to perform at their highest level, and I've never seen an organization reward people for doing nothing.
How about this one? How about this one?
No letters.
No, not no letters. How about this one? We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, so let's have Matthews and Marner split the assistant captaincy for 4 years.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We wouldn't want to make anyone uncomfortable now, would we?
Yeah.
This is the issue I have. This is a team. Babcock, and Steve reminded me of this on the train in. Babcock said, we want to make it a safe place to play, meaning you want players to come here and feel protected from the fans who, oh man, they like it. And we don't want big bullies like Mark Masters and Chris Johnson coming to the game and making these guys feel uncomfortable, or lest they be held accountable to the actions on the ice.
Hey, Lil Ken Campbell's there.
Ken Campbell is there. And, Steve Simmons makes his obligatory one-time appearance, to ask a snide question or two. And Steve, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. It's okay. Listen, you've made millions, I'm sure you've made millions of dollars over your career. Steve's got an angle, and that's his angle, not you. Other Steve. I'm looking
You
at
had me up to the millions of dollars. I was like, wait, what?
I'm sure he has made millions.
Yeah.
So here's the part where it gets interesting, boys. I'll go with the third one, and this is more interesting. It's John Tavares. As I told you, John Tavares had 2 goals in this series, nothing else. Mm-hmm. They happened in the same game. There are 7 games in the series. This is a player who reportedly is asking between $7 and $7.5 million.
No.
The Leafs are not comfortable with anything more than about 5. And those are the reports that are out there. That is the scuttlebutt. And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering, are they even comfortable with 5? And it's not because John can't go out and put together another great regular season where he's almost a point a game.
Sure.
But I am looking at this and going, okay, it's not that these 4 players singularly, and the younger guys, especially, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, are not singularly unbelievable talents. But what do we always go back to? It's the mix of people.
Yes.
It's the mix. So if Marner is truly walking, and we'll get to him in a second, if he's truly walking, the mix is still largely the same if you bring 75% of it back.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
I'm like, you can just move on from John Tavares.
Yeah, and he wants to be here.
If
one of the rare guys that does.
If he would, for me, he's a perfect candidate for a deferred salary sort of contract. If he would take something, I'm talking outrageously cheap. I think 5 is outrageously cheap. Like for what?
But Steve,
what he brings.
What's he bringing you? What's he gonna? What role is he on this team? Yeah. That's what you got to look at. If he's third line center, and he is, and you've got your second line center lined up, it's going to happen.
Well,
then you cannot go into next season with John Tavares as your second line center. You can't go into next season with Domi, Kampf, or Lawton as your third line center.
There's not enough change there.
Let's list the centers in the series: Barkov, Matthews, Lundell,
Bennett,
Tavares, Bennett, Okay, so where does Tavares fit in the pecking order there, and why is it fifth?
This is the point.
Even at $5 million, that's not enough change to the roster. It's still Matthews and then Tavares, and we've seen that not work. I'd like to see some change here. Do something.
My hesitation there is I don't know about this free agency class. If he signs something cheap, I'm open to it. You can't
have him a second line center.
I think that's fair.
Is that
even?
Or it's like a committee middle six sort of thing.
But anything is better than what you have, because what you have, doesn't work.
Yes.
So even if you're not
thumping for years,
even if you're not a fan of the free agency pool, I don't think that's an excuse.
No.
Even if he's the best free agent that gets to the market on July 1st, he's the best center option out there, he shouldn't be your center because he can't play with the rest of the roster.
And now there's Marner.
It's the same thing.
They fired Kyle Dubas 5 weeks before Marner's full no move kicked in. And then after it kicked in, these idiots said, hey, what if you waived? And Mitch, I can't even be mad at him, goes, no. Then they waited a while and then they asked him again. And guess what he said? No! You got...
Especially a month before his wife's due to give birth. They're like, hey, you want to go to Carolina?
You want to uproot your fucking life, stupid? Yeah, no! The Leafs lost the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs and the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs.
In 2023?
In June 2023. And I said it at the damn time. I didn't say specifically, they're going to lose next year and the year after. But you're committing to this. You're committing to seeing it through. And I don't like that the conversation's getting away from the truth online is, oh man, fans who think Marner walking is good, they're stupid. It's not up to the fans. A lot of fans, I think most fans, when that very obvious, Dubas was subtle as an axe. That contract was designed for, hey, we're going to get to this point, and if we haven't accomplished anything by this point, I'm trading this person.
He had a parachute.
Yes!
Dubas smartly put a parachute on his back when he jumped out of the plane.
And Shanahan cut the thing.
Yes.
And then strapped it to Brad.
And he told Brad, you don't have control of your parachute. I control it.
Hi, Brad. You have 5 weeks to figure shit out here and get everyone's number. And also, you're not allowed on the draft floor for the first round. And it's Herculean that Brad did as good a job as he has over the last year and a half.
I've liked the Brad job this year.
Shanahan completely fucked him.
Yeah.
Shanahan completely screwed this person who he hired. Shanahan should be unemployable.
Well, we'll get to that.
He should be
don't
completely
go there.
unemployed.
Please, let's not go there yet.
But
let's go to Marner.
2023 was your last chance to get something for this person. Some fans are going to resent, oh man, they could have had Rantanen.
They were never getting Rantanen for Marner.
You idiots! He had a no-move clause that you had years of warning was coming. You let it click in, and then you got mad at him for... You tried to trade him multiple times? What's the matter with you? You had a moment to trade him. You could have got the sun and the moon for him, and you spit in the face of that opportunity, and then resented him when he exercised the thing that you didn't take this person seriously. You said Mitch Marner, who him and his camp and his agent fought you tooth and nail in the media and in public and everywhere when you designed that contract, and you were confused when he exercised the fruits of that negotiation. You're genuinely stupid, unserious people. What? They tried to trade him once. They tried to trade him again. No. He made it very clear that I am going to use this thing. It kicked in. He used it, and we all went, oh. Now, I think the Leafs are bad for him. I think he's bad for the Leafs. Mm-hmm. I think the relationship got toxic, and I think he should have been open to a trade. I think. But I'm not him.
All right.
I'm not him. I'm not in his family. I'm not in his camp. He had this no move. And honestly, like as a husband, as a dad, I'm not uprooting my life right now because you're fucking dumb and didn't trade me a year ago.
Yeah.
My wife's 7-8 months pregnant.
Yeah, Mitch Marner staying here isn't his fault. Mitch Marner staying here is Brendan Shanahan's fault.
Sorry, I am going in circles.
Yeah.
But getting middle end, this is Shanahan's fault.
100%
You're
agree.
getting nothing for Marner because of him.
Yes.
So
that's the asset management stuff comes down to Brendan Shanahan doubling down.
And we'll get to that. But I think it bears repeating because Mitch was getting booed every time he touched the puck. And I do want to go back to I want to explain the Marner situation in a little bit more depth because I think people are trying to boil this down to a tweet and you can't. There's a lot of history here.
Yeah.
And it starts with this kid getting drafted who Mike Babcock didn't want. And the story goes that Mark Hunter told him to sit the fuck down and drafted Mitch Marner. And he comes in and Babcock's real hard on him. Mm-hmm. And the Leafs say, you can't get Schedule A bonuses. We don't give those away. And then promptly give them to Auston Matthews. Mitch Marner was drafted 4th. Auston was drafted 1st. They both probably could have had Schedule A's.
Honestly, both negotiations were stupid. If you remember, because Matthews wasn't even signed until August.
Yes, because he was like, fuck
Lou
off.
was like, I'm fucking Lou. And like, it's the first overall pick. What are we all doing here? God.
And then
everyone just trying to big dog everyone instead of winning.
Marner's put on the 4th line because Babs is trying to get on him. We all know Listgate, where he made a list. Babs made him make a list of all the players that he on the team that he didn't think were working hard enough. And, Kadri and Bozak were named. And fucking Mike Babcock goes to the middle of the dressing room and goes, this is what this player is saying about you.
Yeah.
What a horrible person. Fuck off forever.
Mike Babcock.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Not Mitch's fault.
Yeah,
this kid's in tears.
No, not 20-year-old Mitch Marner. 19-year-old.
He came to the Toronto Maple Leafs and was promptly fucked out of Schedule A bonuses and then literally tortured by his coach and then put on the 4th line. And then at the worst time ever, Mitch's contract comes up. And it's the worst time ever because the Leafs had already signed Tavares to an absolutely monstrous deal.
They used Mitch in the video that they used to recruit John Tavares.
Had Mitch Marner's camp with a year to go said, we'll do 8/8. And the Leafs said, no, we'll wait till after this season happens.
And remember, the cap was lower, and even 8/8 was a lot.
But it would have been a great deal.
It would have been spectacular.
And so then he goes out and he scores 94 points.
Mm-hmm. And with the guy he helped recruit.
And Auston Matthews
he did the work.
Also gets his contract done over the course of that season. And immediately after, this is where it turns on Mitch.
Because his dumbass of an agent.
So
dumbass.
So the second Matthews contract gets signed, his agent's in the Toronto Star spouting off about how it was a bad deal and blah, blah, blah.
So stupid.
And beyond stupid. And all the while, Mitch has a arm's length from his agent. But let me tell you something.
Oh, stop.
Let me tell you something. Your agent doesn't do anything unless you approve it. And, that became the summer of way to go, Paul, online. And by Paul, we mean Paul Marner.
Coincided with a popular meme.
And what happened was Darren Ferris, through various members of the media, was funneling things like, well, Mitch could get as much as $14 million. And from what you understand, Columbus offered $12 to $13 million for him on an RFA deal, and he just didn't sign it because he didn't want to. And then there was offer sheet. And then there was the story that, he's going to go play in Zurich. And then the Zurich Lions are tweeting about it. And then, it was a whole bunch of bullshit, right? We get to the day before camp, and the Leafs cave on every demand. They give him a no-move clause in the final 2 years, not the final year, the final 2. And they pay him about $2.5 million more a year than they wanted to. And then they say,
number
and then they say in front of the media, we made the right call. We think he's going to go with it. And by the way, had COVID not happened, maybe they did.
And the one piece of context you're forgetting is the William Nylander deal. Chris Johnson wrote about it when he did his Marner breakdown. That was the longest holdout of the salary cap era. And the Leafs are coming off of that negotiation.
And what did they do?
He signed with like 5 minutes left until the deadline.
Exactly.
For him to be eligible to play.
What did they do, guys? They caved to every Nylander demand.
Yes. So they're coming off of that, and Mitch Marner sat out the first day of training camp, and they immediately acquiesced because they said they don't want that again.
Right.
In back-to-back seasons.
Right. So then, and let me just say this, because some of this is Mitch's team creating this. Some of this is fans reacting to this and going, frankly, doing terrible things. Because there is another side to this story. All right. Mitch and his family, his dad specifically, his agent specifically, mishandled and bungled his PR over that negotiation. That is a fact. This was the most popular player on the team.
You're talking about the 2019?
Yes.
Oh, he was a Care Bear.
People loved this person. They would have died for this person. And those guys got arrogant and thought, you know what? It doesn't matter what we do. People are going to love this kid anyway, and we're going to go get the maximal dollar. And you could kind of see how they thought that would have worked, except for Toronto Maple Leafs fans are largely blue collar. And I know Toronto downtown, there's the finance and all the lawyers and whatever. Toronto Maple Leaf fans are not just 416.
There's a lot of people who have never friggin' been here who think they know what Toronto is.
They can fuck This is a hard-working, a very expensive place to live, Southern Ontario. People don't have a lot of extra cash, and these tickets are among the most expensive in the entire league. And I think it's important that we acknowledge and recognize that they bungled that they destroyed part of his reputation, and frankly, with some fans, it never recovered.
No.
And that resentment builds. So then we have series like the Montreal series. We have series like the Tampa series in 2022, Boston series in 2019, and Columbus series. And I want you to understand from Mitch's perspective how things have gone, because I think this is important too, okay? This is a guy who, after one of those series, had people dumping their garbage on his front lawn. This is a guy...
Are we finally doing this?
Yes. This is a guy who, at his cottage, had people throwing not just Montreal Canadiens gear, but garbage on his lawn there.
Golf balls is what we heard.
Golf balls. We also... And flat out garbage. Flat out garbage.
Oh.
This is a guy who was walking his dog, and a kid approaches him on the street and yells at him and says, "Why haven't you got the contract done?"
Oh, geez.
This is a guy who was robbed allegedly at gunpoint for his Range Rover with his wife in the car.
Mm-hmm. And they didn't know who Mitch Marner was.
Marner was.
That wasn't like I don't want people who don't know that story to not be confused.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
He's had a rough few years.
Those other examples are like hockey things.
Yeah, and
this was just like...
They wanted the Range Rover.
Somebody targeted the car, and they didn't know who Mitch Marner was.
So I don't know what it's like to have a gun waved in my face, or even have a knife waved, or be threatened to get out of my car. But you bet your ass I'm getting out of the car and giving you the keys. And beyond all that, I can understand how, with the golf balls and the garbage and the Montreal Canadiens merch and the everything else, and then getting robbed, why you would have sort of a shitty taste in your mouth about the place that you live.
Mm-hmm.
And also the Schedule A bonuses, the Mike Babcock stuff. You don't forget that.
I know.
You don't forget that.
So I'm caught between, I perfectly understand being bitter about the Schedule A bonuses, but I'm also like, okay, when do you drop it? Like you then signed how much was his contract? 65, 66, 67 million? When do you stop being mad? When do you realize you're Scrooge McDuck?
You did. The timeline is like you got screwed on those bonuses, but then the Leafs gave you everything you wanted.
But then the damage was already done, boys.
Yeah, but then you got everything you wanted.
No, but the damage was already done because Marner's camp, again, this is both sides, Marner's camp screwed that up. They thought his PR image was unbeatable. And by the way, it was. But they thought it was bulletproof, and it wasn't. And then what happens is you get fans on him, harassing family members, messaging people that know him. And you also have a group of people around him that, frankly, don't do the Elliot Friedman thing, which is don't send them the articles about themselves.
No.
Do not do that. And so what you have now is you have an objective situation where people in his orbit hate the media and they hate the fans. And I don't know how Mitch feels about any of these things specifically. I can tell he doesn't like the media. But I can also say
I don't expect him to.
Yeah, I don't expect him to either. I don't really care. But I can also say that Mitch cared a lot.
Yes.
The guys in the room love this guy.
Yep.
Love this guy. Very popular teammate.
Okay.
So this is a scenario where this is a bad relationship and it's ending. And who do I put that at the feet of? I put that partially at the feet of the people that were the grown adults in the room over the age of 50 who were leading him the wrong way in those 2019 negotiations. I also put it at the president's foot of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
He's the reason they're losing him for nothing. Like literally one of the greatest players who's ever played for your organization.
So Mitch isn't getting any blame there.
Well, I 100%.
Well, I mean, he's got
because
he's got 7 assists and no goals in 20 games.
Because
I'm just
but this is where I'm getting to it, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted that context because now what I'm hearing after these games, because I get messages from people, they're going, yeah, after game 5, nothing. After game 6, the messages I got were, yeah, what are you going to say about him now, assholes?
Wait, did you actually get a message? Is it from who I think?
No. And because I talk to people, and then after game 7, it's he's probably out of here. Can't wait for you guys not to be able to mess around anymore. And here's the problem. What it's gotten to, I think, within that camp is that they think it's the fans and the media's fault. It doesn't matter. They feel like whatever they do, everybody's going to hate Mitch anyway. And by the way, people don't hate Mitch. I asked at Sport Check here who their top selling jersey this year was. And recently it was Nylander and Nyes, and they sold well over 3,000 jerseys this year, and they were selling about 150 every home game for the playoffs. Okay?
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Wow. At one store.
Guess who the highest selling jersey is?
Marner.
Of course. And you know what's interesting is as a media member, when I hear this stuff back as feedback, it feels a little bit like Twitter feels. Twitter feels like, you know, people could say, hey, I love your content. You're like, great. Someone goes, hey, you're a fucking loser. It sticks with you all day. Right?
Yes.
We, in the media, have draped these guys in laurels when they've done well. Mm-hmm. All we have done is sung their praises. And by the way, as a fan, that's all I want to do.
There's no equity in the bank of goodwill. You could say 100,000 good things about Mitch Marner. It doesn't make a lasting.
It's a leaky bucket. But when it comes to criticism, they go, see, and it doesn't
game
matter.
6 against Montreal, you weren't very good. What?
It doesn't,
and it just deletes the last half decade.
It doesn't matter to them that Mitch Marner had 2 shots on goal in the final 5 games of the Florida series. It doesn't matter to them that, you know, Mitch Marner's, I think, game 5, 6, and 7 point totals. I think he's played over 20 games total in a 5, 6, and 7.
7 assists in 20 games.
7 assists in 20 games.
Also, I think that's 3 shots now because he had 2 last night.
Oh, he had 2 last night.
Yeah,
so 3. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So he had 2 in one game, 1 in another, and that's 5 games.
Yeah.
Guys, what I'm saying here is that it's toxic on both sides. What I will not accept is that it is Leafs fans' fault.
It's insulting. You don't have to justify.
What is it? Yeah. What is it about that we had any control over? What in any of what I've just told you did the fans have any control over other than their emotional reaction to, okay, you want to make this much money, here's the expectations.
Adam, to be fair, I kept sending him passes into his feet. I kept doing it. He asked for it a little in front of him, and I couldn't do it.
If Mitch Marner had just scored ever in his life in a game 7, all of this is fine.
It goes away.
Completely goes away.
And that's
if he just performed on. This is where all of this for me falls on him because his job is to perform on the ice. And if he was the type of player that could perform in the playoffs and carried this team to victory even one time in one of these important games, and I'm not talking about game 6s, I'm talking about the final games. If he had ever done that and shown up, everything's fine.
People have been saying this like a gotcha, but I agree with you. Marner's going to go somewhere else. He's going to win a cup.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it'll probably unlock the playoff side of his game.
He's going to play with McKinnon.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
He might go to the Avs and just be their next guy running there like Rantanen was, and they'll win a cup.
Mm-hmm. And he just becomes mini McKinnon. Instead of
Martin
this meek persona that he's had in Toronto, he's just going to turn into a chickpea pasta master and friggin' just beat up anyone who ever eats a carb.
But I think Steve, you should expand on, it's not a dunk on the Leafs fans that he's going to move on and be successful. We all kind of expect that.
Listen, I think the fans and the media and all that, I obviously think it's laughable, but it definitely applies to certain people. Of course it applies to certain people. And towards the end of his tenure here, I was yelling at Brad, who had just got here, you got to move this guy before his no move kicks in. But once it kicked in, my attention sort of became, why do you want this? What? You wear the jersey like a weighted vest. It's so obvious, and it is a burden to you. And some guys can do this, and maybe he could at the beginning, and things happen. We change as people under the circumstances, yada, yada. I don't think being a Leaf was good for him towards the end. So I think that's valid. I don't know why he wanted it. I think he wasted 2 years here.
Yeah, and
at the end. But I 100% think he's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to have the weight of the world off his shoulders. He's going to become the best skater in the league. He's going to win an Art Ross, and he might win a Conn Smythe. Mm-hmm. It's going to be hilarious.
CJ, in his article about Marner and what happens next, he made the great point that Mitch is the first member of the core four now that is coming due, and he has the decision now to break up the core. It's no longer on Brendan Shanahan or Kyle Dubas to just keep the road steady and continue. Now we have somebody who might not want to be a part of this anymore and is now on one of the members to be like, yeah, I'm done with this experiment.
It's insulting. The news of Shanahan's firing hasn't come down while we've recorded. It has been unjustifiable for years. It gave birth to the, I just got here. Well, unfortunately, this morning, Keith Pelly is going to have to get out of bed and do his job and take a dog out back. Dude, it's insane this guy is still the president. Holy shit, are you kidding? After all this, after all that, he is the reason things got so toxic. He is the reason for the boos because fans can't believe you ran this back. They cannot fucking believe. If you were on the ice, money. Brendan, it would have been you getting booed. Yeah. They cannot believe you ran this back.
Yeah,
and you're the reason they're getting nothing.
When Mitch Marner, he sat the final 3 minutes of the game. Craig Berube refused to put him out there on the ice. But when he was out there, the brief moments before that, before Brad Marchand scored the empty netter, he got booed by the fans. But the fans aren't booing Mitch directly.
Some of them are.
Some of them are for his performances on the ice because they have not been good enough. But the fans are unhappy because the guys above them decided that Mitch Marner is the guy for the team.
Guy. I refuse to blame Brad for this. I refuse.
Brad Treliving, in his interview with Brendan Shanahan, I assume had to agree to Brendan Shanahan's plan that he wanted to keep things together. I don't think Brad Treliving had a choice in any of this. The fans, a lot of that anger is just directed at the organization as a whole.
Yes.
They're booing the crest and the people who are running it because they've made these terrible decisions consistently over the course of this entire tenure.
And Jesse, Marner is representative, not directly. He's representative of those terrible decisions, of those
because he's
inaction.
The biggest one.
By the way, yeah, because he's the biggest one. By the way, let me just tell you something. They'll tell you being patient is hard. Doing nothing is easy. And
I don't know. I found it pretty difficult.
And I got to tell you, I feel like I think Mitch has made some mistakes. I think specifically the people around him have made enormous errors. But I also feel for him in the sense that the Leafs need to be the guys over 50 who played in the league, who won Stanley Cups, need to be smart enough to know, hey, not only is this not working, but it's going to get toxic real quick here. And listen, the Leafs not trading Mitch or Willie or Auston or whatever. It's not just Mitch, but Mitch is the hot point, right?
Yes.
Because Willie could have been traded too in that June. He could have been traded because he had an expiring deal.
Yes. Exactly. And they ended up. So when you commit to Marner's deal not expiring,
Willie.
rather, when you commit to letting Marner's no move kick in,
you had to trade Willie.
You have to trade Willie.
And you did not.
And what did they let him do? They let him become one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
They signed him to a huge contract. And now you've just got all four of them again. You idiots. Like, signing Willie was, all right, we're doing this for the next 2 years. And if it works, it works. And it didn't. So of course you should be fired.
And that point of view
I should see him walking outside behind me. Where the friggin' with a box of shit? Where is he?
Shanny?
Yes.
He's one of those like old filing boxes, you know?
Yeah. There was an AI picture of that.
I'm sure. Oh, yes, there is.
That was the one sent to the group chat. That's the one.
Maybe they can find a wheelbarrow big enough to fucking carry his ego. Like it's insane.
I think
it's insane the decisions he made.
It's important.
And I said it for years. I've gone gray in the beard saying these things, and I don't enjoy saying "I told you so." I'd rather it be, "Hey, they listened."
I can tell you emphatically that Leafs alumni from multiple generations,
I hate this team.
behind the scenes, have expressed a ton of frustration that they're obviously not going to say publicly.
Of course not.
About how this team plays hockey. And this dates back to 2020 and 2021, specifically the Canadian series. A lot of them think, well, that a lot of them thought at the time, and the people that I talked to said at the time, this has got to be over, right?
Dude, you lose in the bubble, you lose to the Habs, and then the next year you lose to Tampa. One of those, someone has to put their foot down. For God's sake. And they wouldn't do it.
So the other thing is, from the get, the Leafs alumni, some of the legends, most of the legends, were pissed Shanny got hired in the first place. And said, you know, there were reputational things that they had an issue with. The fact that he was never a Leaf, they had an issue with. You know, I don't know if I can't speak to the fact that Shanny wasn't a Leaf or whatever that. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah,
and all I'm doing is expressing what I've been told. I'm not saying that this is a valued argument.
Ken Dryden did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and he was a Montreal Canadiens.
You
He
know,
was great.
yeah.
But the point is, this guy Shanny came in. He did turn around a shitty culture. He did bring in people that the Leafs have
righted a lot of wrongs.
But then when it came to, hey, Shanny, you're going to have to adjust your plan because the world has changed around you. The cap is flat. COVID is here. The Leafs continue to get run out of the playoffs the same way. And when they lose, like I said on the last show, or 2 shows ago, when they lose like losers. They don't just lose. Vegas lost to Edmonton. Vegas put up a good fight. The Leafs, in Games 5 and Game 7, lost like losers lose. Sorry.
No, it was tight.
That is what it is. And we've seen this.
It was a tight 6-1 loss.
And it's, but if Tavares was healthy, if they had better goaltending, if they had this.
Get lost.
They have gone
every
through
year.
3 general managers, 3 coaches, probably 15 assistant coaches.
Oh, my God. So many.
And at a certain point, everybody is saying the same damn thing. And I can tell you there's a couple of legends in particular who are very pissed about how this team plays in the playoffs. And it is at a certain point, this is where your focus needs to be, guys. Don't worry about what Kachuk's saying about the fans. Don't worry about, and I get outside journalists too, guys. And they're like, well, the Leafs letting Marner go for nothing would be a huge mistake. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, but they
know
they made that mistake two years ago. Like it doesn't.
We said at the time.
I only know one language, and it's English, and all I can do at this point is repeat myself.
Yeah, we're running in circles here.
So then I want to get. I want to take a minute here and stand up for the fans, because Leaf fans have taken a lot of shit. You know, you got a players camp who hates them.
Most disrespected, underappreciated fan base in any sport.
You guys have seen dramatic loss after dramatic loss, and you still put 10,000 people in the square because you want it so bad. You want
filled the lower bowl for Game 6, and you paid to do it. You paid to be in a building.
Well, other teams do that
to watch it. Yeah, but still, you've sold out the lower bowl.
I hear Rogers put on a pretty good show.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah,
you have.
Put it on TV.
You know what? I have to say it. After Game 5, I saw the Hockey Night and panel go, you know, the boos really don't help.
Thank you.
And I'm like,
I don't think the boos are to help.
Yeah.
Have we? How about? Can we address that? Have you ever been booing in a productive way?
That was good.
They're shouting "fuck you."
I was yelling "boo."
I paid $1,000 to be here. You're down 6-1, and I find discontentment in that. The booing is not to help. Sorry to break down the fourth wall. Sorry to blow your mind. The booing isn't to help.
That's a good point. I don't think they ever thought about it like that.
Well,
the booing doesn't help. Yeah, we know.
Of the boos isn't to motivate the team.
I have. I have just about had it. Just about had it with the talking down to. What more do you want to put this fan base through? What more do you want to do here? And then to be chided on national television by the fan base that quite literally bankrolls your network.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding, guys? And I'm sorry, I know they're good people. I'm not trying to say that these are bad people.
Oh, we got to preface everything with they're good people.
But it's a terrible take. Come on the show.
Let's have a conversation.
Come on the show and explain yourself. This is enough. Enough.
Dude,
hold on. This group deserves so much better. We deserve a local broadcast team. We can't get that. All the games are fucking national. So they got to be, even with Florida, we got to be neutral. We deserve a local panel. We get it from TSN. We get it from Amazon. We get it from fucking Amazon. Mm-hmm. We can't get it from Sportsnet.
Jeffrey.
It's crazy. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the tweets today and people going, yeah, well, Leaf fans are toxic. I am begging, pleading with you to watch any other sport ever. Steve said it perfectly. Yeah. How does LeBron James get out of bed? How does Messi get out of bed?
Any NFL player.
How does Mo Salah get out of bed? I don't understand how you think. Listen, is fandom toxic? In certain cases, every fan group is toxic.
Hell yeah.
Every one of them.
I went to a Scottish football game. First of all, there's a chain link fence separating the home supporters from the road. And the whole game that ended in a 0-0 draw, by the way, I made a compilation on my phone because I kept trying to get a goal. There were no goals. So it's just a compilation of Scottish people going, fuck off! Pesh! Fuck me! Fuck off!
Can you sing one of the songs?
Oh God!
It'd be like, fuck your grandma.
No, dude. I hope fuck your grandma.
Like that's way with every stalker chant.
There was, you know what it was? They were screaming such vulgar obscenities. I think it was directed at the road supporters, and they were screaming it right back. And I was like, oh my God, there's kids here. And I look at the kids in the row in front of me, and the kids are going right back at them, going, oh, doing the jerk off motion. And I'm like, dude, it's
no, every kid in Europe's born with like a Heineken in their hand.
I'm so grateful.
And a cigarette.
I am so grateful for my immigrant in-laws. I am so grateful for my Scottish in-laws. For every time I go, so there's a narrative out there, and it's that Leaf fans blah da 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 da. And my father-in-law, it's the joke that never fails to get a laugh. It's a knee slapper every time. This man has cheered for Liverpool his whole life.
You think playing hockey in Toronto is hard?
Oh, yeah. Fuck off.
Hey, man, have the New York Yankees ever won a championship? Or did
no,
the fans
they all
hold them
buckle
back?
under the pressure.
Oh, that's crazy.
Did you see Juan Soto return this weekend?
Yeah, and they all turned around.
So, yeah, the entire right field wall turned around when he came out. It was awesome.
I am
hilarious. No, and you know what friggin' Derek Jeter said? Every home game of his career, he peers behind the curtains and he goes, "Fuck!
There's people that want to watch
boys, you're not going to like this. Fans came."
And this is where...
And he never won a chip.
This is where it gets frustrating because you have... and I get it. It's the NHL. They don't want to have fans at the games. They just want to collect the paycheck. I am proud of the fact that I live and die by this team. I am proud of the fact. Don't read that.
No, I'm not.
I'm proud of the fact.
I'm incapable. I have no eyes.
I am proud of the fact that there are millions of us who are willing to. And I am proud of the fact that when Sheldon Keefe goes to the New Jersey Devils and says, well, you're in the real NHL now. Do you think the NHL's wouldn't be better with more fan groups like this?
No.
Do you think that Oilers fans, if they'd been through this, would it be any different? Canucks fans, Canadians fans? Because I can tell you, those guys get accused of being toxic all the time as well. But if they went through this shit, they would be Montreal, literally, Vancouver, literally riots.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's obnoxious. And if you don't want to take it from me, take it from a guy who played. Carlo Koliakovo. You guys interested in this?
Right.
Here's what he said today.
First round pick.
The whole narrative that's being created that it's the media and the fans at fault for putting too much pressure on the team is quite comical. Toronto has the most passionate fan base in the world for NHL. I don't know if we can beat EPL fans.
I think he means in hockey.
And fans bleed blue and white for this team. I can tell you from someone that works in the media that we absolutely want nothing more than to watch the Leafs win. Exactly. We don't put pressure on this team or players. If anything, some of us get criticized when we pump this team's tires for being as great as they've shown us they can be and wanting to believe each year will be different. We react the way they play. Is that what you call pressure? So let's be honest. Pressure is built from within and similar from similar failure. I hate it, and I believe every Leaf fan hates it. Toronto is undoubtedly one of the best markets in the world to play because people care. The spotlight is huge to me. That's what playing sports is all about. Either you want it and find a way to thrive, or you don't. I would have loved to play in these playoff moments when I played for the Leafs. Unfortunately, the closest I got was being haunted by the name Wade Dublowitz forever. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Is there pressure to play here? Absolutely. Not because of the fans or the media making it hard. It's hard to play anywhere in the league when expectations aren't met. As far as where the future looks for this team and players, there is no excuse for losing the way they did in games 5 and 7, but be careful what you wish for, Leaf fans. Winning is harder than the NHL. This is a really good Leafs team that lost to a better Florida team, and then he goes on.
You could have left that end part out. He was on a roll.
And I think he nailed it.
He was on a roll up until that last sentence.
Jesse, nothing in life's perfect.
But this is where I come back to.
Don't tell me to run it back.
This is where I come back to. You're going to catch a lot of shit in the next few days, Leaf fans. You're going to catch a lot of shit. This is not your fault. There are people, Shanny's salary is rumored to be $7 million a year.
This conversation is psychotic.
No, but I want people to feel like I
know it's
to be clear.
Though.
I don't mean
because people are going to think that's
it's psychotic that we have to say these things.
Unfathomable that the people taking the most criticism today
are the fans.
Weren't on the fucking ice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So I sit here and I just want to tell you, you're going to take a lot of shit and they're going to dunk on us, and I get it. And you know what? It's probably pretty satisfying on the other side. I'm not going to lie. Man, I wish I had a target like the Leafs. The content would be amazing.
I would have choreography to dunk on the Florida Panthers this morning, but alas.
So
you don't get to see my sexy moves.
With that in mind, I just want you to take this away and go, this ain't your fault. There are people on this team that need to go. And the person who needs to go the most is not Mitch Marner. It's not John Tavares. It's not whoever you don't particularly like. It's Brendan Shanahan. First, second, and third place.
I'm waiting for my notification from Leafs PR.
I know.
Brendan Shanahan's been let go,
He's
but it hasn't.
You know what?
Hasn't happened yet.
I blame him for the Mitch Marner situation more than I blame Mitch or his people or anything else. Mitch could have been traded, and Shanny should have seen that this was going to go this way. But he didn't. You know why? Arrogance. Oh, he's stubborn. He wants to stick to the Shanna plan. The plan isn't working. Hasn't worked for half a decade, Shanny. What are we doing? We got to this point, and you couldn't get us past. And what did you do? Nothing. You did nothing but the same thing you'd always done. And so now we're left looking like shit here, and you exposed Mitch, and you exposed Auston, and you exposed Willie and Tavares and the rest of them because you kept them together. And now you've exposed the number one most important thing. And people forget this, by the way. You know what fans are?
Forgiving.
The reason you are alive.
Clients. We're your clients. Why do you think anybody wants to sponsor the Leafs? Is it because they do it out of the goodness of their heart? It's because fans are like, hey, I'm there and I love the Leafs so much, and they want a piece of that.
I cannot overstate what a complete culture shock it was to go to San Jose and experience the Sharks. I cannot explain what a complete... Instead of everything being gate kept and having to earn everything, they're like, come on in.
We're so happy to have you here.
They have to earn fans.
They have to earn fans, and they act like it.
Yeah, that's the reason.
It's so weird. Isn't it weird that the one thing we're being told is holding the Leafs back today is the one thing every other team is dying to achieve?
That's the reason the three of us were in San Jose this year. They're trying to grow their organization. So they reached out to a Toronto podcast to come down and see everything.
Because they can't get somebody from the Athletic or the San Jose Mercury or any of those guys or anybody from San Francisco to come out and bloody cover their team. And it's not because their team isn't great. It's not because they don't. Media's being cut back a lot. Let's be honest. That's part of it.
Yes, huge part of it.
That's the only part.
But they
of it.
just don't have the fan base, right?
They have, but with the fans they have, it's an amazing community. And you know what they do to the fans? They make them feel like, hey, you're a part of this. We couldn't be here without you.
Yeah.
And at that, the Leafs are like, oh, you're here again?
Yeah, because they take it for granted. Like the organization takes it for granted that they have so many fans, more fans than anybody.
What are you doing here? Yeah. Fuck off.
Like I'm not completely shitting on the Leafs organization.
No.
Like, they've been very good to me, but you know,
I
have a special life. I do. I've gotten experiences not a lot of people have, and I'm very blessed for that. But man, there are a lot of ropes you have to jump through to be a hardcore fan of this team, and as opposed to other teams.
And you know what will happen? This show will get passed around circles, and we always know what it does. Oh, they don't listen. They don't listen. They listen. And it'll be like, see, these guys are the reason.
No,
nobody wants to be here.
I don't think that's
within
true.
those walls. I think it will be.
Within those walls, we have more supporters than we don't. I believe that in my heart.
Yeah,
I know it for a fact.
So that's rant over. Leaf fans, you just keep being yourselves. Don't shit post. Don't drop garbage on someone's lawn. Don't fucking throw golf balls at someone's house.
Fucking psychos.
Don't throw beer on the ice, and don't throw your jersey on the ice during play.
Don't throw things on the ice.
Like just don't put
that.
things. The guys are literally skating around. They're skating around backwards often. You know, like it's just dangerous from a human perspective, person to person. Don't throw things on the ice. It's not very nice.
Yes,
that you can boo. You know.
We know a guy who's a hockey coach. He accidentally got on the ice with a skate guard on because he's just on and off the ice all the time. He fell and he tore his rotator cuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that could have happened to any of these guys. That could be like literally a career limiting injury.
Don't do that.
Don't be a psycho.
Now, I do want to say Darren Dreger apparently reported, well, not apparently, he did report yesterday that the Leafs had Marner wanted to negotiate in season. The Leafs were prepared to offer him $13.5 million. This is pre-Mikko Rantanen. And he wasn't willing to negotiate.
Absolute psychopath.
And so they're going to go to market. And I will tell you something. I don't think he's getting that, because I will tell you that general managers have eyes. And it's not that Mitch is not a great hockey player. It's not.
I think you're totally wrong.
Yeah, me too.
You think I'm totally wrong?
Yeah. Here's why I think you're totally wrong.
I think that if he wants to go to a team like Chicago, he can get $13.5 million. If he wants to go to a winning team, he's not getting that.
Adam, we just spent an hour and a half defending the existence of Leaf fans. I think people think this is Toronto's fault. I think they think their situation is smarter and better, and he'll get the money, and everyone involved is going to be convinced they're winning a cup.
You know how many times I've looked at a pro athlete and been like, nobody's going to pay him that money, and then a GM does. Like, all GMs are, I shouldn't say all GMs, there's a bunch of GMs out there who just pay people the money.
I suppose then, Jesse.
Marner is going to make more money than Auston Matthews next year.
Yes, he is. And at least we're prepared to pay him that too. But I don't think he's going to get, if he's going to get that, he's not going to get it with a winning team.
I think that's different. Like, I think that's a different conversation.
What scenario he steps into.
Yeah, I feel like if that money, if you want that 13.5, like, he can find it. There's 32 teams, somebody's going to pay it.
I'm also just going to say this because we talked about the 2019 negotiations a lot. Who'd that report come from?
Drags.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody will pay it.
So with that's sort of all I have.
Locker clean out this week.
When is it?
Will come out. We're not sure yet.
Okay. So it's not.
Are you going?
I'll be there when it happens, but when there are firings, they stretch things out over a couple of days, which is interesting. So we'll see what day.
The players just want to get on vacation and get the hell out of here. Like, and they're going to be
I'm thinking it's tomorrow, but it could be Wednesday.
Come on, guys. We lost at home. Can't we just leave?
Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
I do think it's worth mentioning, too. We'll get CJ show is coming out today, and we'll get him booked for our usual postseason end of season thing, autopsy after that. But Jesse,
it might be from Carolina.
It might be from Carolina. And Jesse, we are going to move the show around based on sort of locker cleanout schedule because it's important that you're there.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I don't know. I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
So we think we're doing a show Wednesday,
Subscribe.
but we don't know yet.
We'll find out.
But anyway, do you guys have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I got 20 minutes on. We're gonna do more. We're not done.
Steve, after you finished the LFR yesterday, how long did it take you to get to bed? And what did you do? Did you just doom
Probably
scroll?
an hour and a half.
Did you just doom scroll and to death because of everything?
They did tell you to go to bed at 2 a.m.
I know.
That group chat. I woke up to the group chat.
Yeah, and I had to wake up at a certain time to be on. I was on What Chaos at 9. That I did CBC at 11.
Oh no!
Everyone remembers they have my number when the Leafs lose. That video's at like $250,000 right now.
You didn't want to make it,
but I would have rather they be in the third round because it's like booking a dinner reservation at Death Row. They're going to get you whatever you want, but at the end of the meal, you die.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.